today from the Valley of the Sun, the 5-9 Phoenix Cardinals.
NBC Sports presents the National Football League. Today, it's the Denver Broncos versus the Phoenix Cardinals.
For the Phoenix Cardinals, the largest crowd of the season has turned out, upwards of 60,000 here on a mild 49-degree day at Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe. For the Broncos, who have already clinched the AFC West, a victory would mean home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert along with Bob Trumpin. As we mentioned moments ago on NFL Live, the Cardinals will be starting the rookie quarterback Tim Rosenbaugh's first NFL start. He did see action 4 weeks ago in a mop-up job against the LA Rams.
Army had just 14 attempts there. He did not play particularly well, but they told him on Friday he was going to start. They also started practicing him a little more during the week. Rosenbaugh's main attributes: a very strong arm, great mobility. General Manager Larry Wilson of the Cardinals said, look, you can look for this as the first game of the 1990 season.
So it's kind of back to the future for the Cardinals.
Very good.
Thank you so much, Bob. We talked with John Elway last night. He said he can certainly relate to what Tim Rosenbaugh is going through, but Elway's concern is stopping Denver's 2-game losing streak. Cardinals won the toss, and they are receiving. And this is Vai Sikahema, the 4-year man from Brigham Young, on the return, and we get a look at Tim Rosenbaugh out of Washington State. Goes 6'2", 210 pounds. The Cardinals' first-round pick in the supplemental draft. He was a holdout, missed the entire training camp. Quarterback who can scramble, as some have said. He has the linebacker mentality, similar to Jim Kelly of Buffalo.
Also told us yesterday he plays the game on emotion. Is really a fiery quarterback.
Cardinals from their 24, and he'll put it up, and he's putting it up long, intended for Roy Green. A look at the Cardinal offensive line, and this a team, as I mentioned, hard hit by injury. They have continued to shuffle. In fact, the rookie Mike Zendowski now is starting at left guard, and Joe Wolf making his 5th position change because of the absence of Tootie Robbins, who was sidelined by injury. And in the backfield, Tony Jordan and Earl Farrell. And in the passing situation, Darrell Usher, and a tight end goes to the wide receiver spot. Jay Novacek comes on to the ground, and Tony Jordan is stopped by Carl Mecklenburg. Jordan getting the start today. He was a starter earlier in the season. And a look at the Denver Broncos defensive alignment, and they have been outstanding, allowing the fewest points in the NFL, led by Mecklenburg, who is having another Pro Bowl season. And in the passing alignment, Scott Curtis, Mark Haynes, Kip Carrington come on. And the Broncos secondary under normal conditions, 3rd down and 11 from the 23. Rosenbaugh couldn't find anyone, and short of the first down.
Actually, Marv, that's a play that might help Rosenbaugh finally get hit in this first start. It takes the butterflies away. I'm sure this young man has been breathless for about the last 18 hours getting ready for this start. He was the first one out here on the field today. At that first series, 3 downs and out. At least he got hit. He's got to feel a little better.
And Rich Camarillo will punt from his 15-yard line. He sat out last week because of a sprained ankle, and a backup quarterback, Tom Tupa, was the punter and had a terrific day, averaging close to 47 per punt. Natil on the return.
Fumble.
Natil never did get the grip on it, and the Broncos have recovered. So Natil on the muff, and then able to recover a 38-yard punt and a 6-yard return.
That ball looked like it hung up there a little bit, Marvin. Natil had to really run up to catch it, and as you said, never really got control of it. He's trying to make the big play, and he gets it, and then the thing just slips right out of his hand. That's a big break for the Denver Broncos. And really, on a punt return, the only guys there are the defenders, and somehow Natil comes up with a recovery.
Well, Steve Sewell was able to cover up, and it's a first down at the 39-yard line for John Elway and his 10-4 Denver Broncos. We are just underway in Phoenix. Bobby Humphrey has the first down. Matty Young, the free safety, made the stop. You can hear the roar for the Denver Broncos. A large contingent making it here from the Mile High City. And that the major reason that there's a big crowd on hand.
Before Phoenix came here, the fans were split between Dallas and Denver.
Offensive line, Gerald Perry has had his difficulties with a host of penalties during the course of the season. Humphrey and Bratton are the starting running backs. Bratton making his first ever start as a fullback. First down at midfield. Humphrey to the outside.
Humphrey carries.
Bobby Humphrey, the spectacular rookie from Alabama, was run out by the strong safety Tim McDonald.
One of the things that the Phoenix Cardinals do very well, this is McDonald, the strong safety. His position is normally up here, but because of the way Denver runs, he's up there cheating on Bobby Humphrey. And watch what he does on the snap of the ball. He's looking right at Humphrey. They run the sweep. No one can get a block on him. He's there to make the tackle. One of the premier strong safeties in the NFC. Tim McDonald, 46.
Second down, 6 at the Phoenix 44. On the delay, Humphrey, and he has the first down, covered up by the outside linebacker Ken Harvey. Well, when the Broncos go to the passing situation, Bratton and Kay depart. Natil and Young enter the lineup. And the Broncos first down at the Cardinal 39-yard line. Elway guns it and able to hit the tight end Clarence Kay. And apparently they say he did not have possession. It is ruled incomplete. Anthony Bell on the stop.
Ball thrown low by John Elway. And it's very difficult for the receiver to catch that ball when it's down around his ankles. You see it kind of sinks on him a little bit. Never really gets control. This Cardinal defense, a 43 defense. Very characteristic of the NFC East. Eagles have a 4-3. Giants use a lot of 4-3. So do the Eagles. Cardinals also.
Second and 10 at the Cardinal 39. Elway with the time, and that was picked up on the hop. Incomplete. Michael Young, the intended receiver, and he was covered by Jay Taylor, the extra defensive back. And the Cardinals with Freddie Joe Nunn, Jim Waller, Rod Sadler, David Galloway in that 4-3. Outstanding linebackers, Anthony Bell, Eric Hill, #1 draft pick out of LSU, and Ken Harvey, a second-year player who is having an excellent season. And in the nickel, Taylor and Zordich come on. It's a third down and 10 at the 39. No score. We're early first quarter. Once again, Elway with time, then facing pressure, able to shut it, and then hit back behind the line by Harvey.
Boy, he had a man wide open down the field, too. Mark Jackson was open. Good pressure by the Cardinals front. The Cardinals don't blitz a great deal, but one of the things they have are huge linebackers. Harvey and Bell and Hill are all great big people, so they can stand up there against offensive linemen and get to the pass rush. He was originally flushed, it looked like, by Freddie Joe Nunn, and then the sack.
And here's Iran to punt. Sinkahema lets the short punt bounce around the 20-yard line. And the Cardinals will take over. 28-yard punt. Good defensive effort by the Cardinals, who played tough against the Raiders, although in a losing effort last week.
Don't worry. They're going to love you.
Staying cool, trying to impress.
Making points when you put to the test, for showing what's inside of you, winning their hearts, for coming through this sports for you.
Here it comes, cold and crisp, clean and refreshing, the one and only taste of the king of beers.
This sports for you. You hear the thunder, the call of the road.
Moving quick and with purpose. That's the whole idea behind Pontiac's newest Grand Prix.
Get on your Pontiac and ride, Pontiac ride.
Introducing the first Grand Prix ever with 4 doors. The new Grand Prix Sports Sedan.
Build excitement.
Now get 4.8% financing on every new Grand Prix during Pontiac's All-Out Excitement Closeout.
This isn't an ad for 2001. This is an ad for Zenith's VHS VCR with dazzling special effects and remarkable hi-fi stereo sound. When you have a Zenith VCR, the movies you bring home will take on a whole new dimension. Zenith. Quality.
52-year-old Hank Kuhlman. He was named the interim head coach back on November the 20th, taking over from Gene Stallings. He'd been the Cardinals running back coach the last 4 years. A veteran of 26 years of coaching on the college level, NFL, USFL, a star running back at Missouri. Also played 4 years in the St. Louis Baseball Cardinals organization as a catcher from 59 through 62.
You know, I like the compliment that all the players have paid him over the last 2 days to us, and that he's made it fun. He's worked them, but he's made it fun as an interim coach. They haven't won, though.
Yes, still looking for victory number 1. This is 4th game. And a first down at the 20. Cardinals back to the offense. Sikahema for a short pickup. Kuhlman also said he would be doing a lot of shuffling today, so we are seeing Sikahema as a running back. And he's lined up alongside Ron Wolfley. Carricker on the stop, picked up 3. It is a 2nd down and 7 at the 23.
This is a team missing an awful lot of offensive punch with the loss of Stump Mitchell early in the season to a knee. They've gotten very little production out of their running back spot. And there you see last year's starting quarterback with the headset there. That's Neil Lomax.
In fact, they were 7-4 when Neil Lomax went down, and they finished up at 7-9. Ron Wolfley for just a yard. Alfonso Carricker making the stop. Lomax went down after beating the Giants in Week 11. The Cardinals last season were tied for the NFC East lead. They lost their last 5, and since that 7-4 start of last season, the Cardinals have destructed. They've gone 5 up, 14 down.
Yeah, last year at this time, there's Neil Lomax right there. He is, the arthritic hip. I'll give you a picture of him walking, and he's just 30, walks like he's 70, is going to need a hip replacement.
It is a 3rd down and 5. And Rosenbaugh has it batted down. Don Holmes, the intended receiver. And the Cardinals once again forced to punt.
Well, I think that was Kip Carrington who came in from the defensive. Well, look at 25 on the right. You see Sikahema tries to make the block on him. Carrington on the safety blitz. And of course, against a rookie quarterback, very good idea. Give him a lot of looks. Give him some freakish looking blitzes. Kind of disrupt his pattern a little bit.
And the punt by Camarillo. Here's Natil. Had some difficulty in the first punt return, and he fumbles. Recovered by the Cardinals. Well, the Denver Broncos continue to have difficulties in the punt return game. Earlier, Ken Bell had a series of adventures. We saw that earlier this season. Dan Reeves then went to Vance Johnson, but he's opened with Natil, and Natil coughs it up. The fumble recovered by Ilya Yurashchuk. We'll be back in a moment.
It's big. It's now. It's Pontiac's All-Out Excitement Closeout. Now with our longest-term 4.8% finance rate ever on Grand Prix. That's right. Now every new Grand Prix is available with long-term 4.8% financing. Or get your share of millions in cash back on Grand Prix and almost every other new 1990 Pontiac in stock. But hurry, your Pontiac dealer is closing out the year with big cash back or 4.8% financing on Grand Prix. It won't last long. See your Pontiac Excitement dealer now.
Mobile communication is the power to hold your world together. At GTE, we can put that power at hand to take with you where it has never gone before. Into the skies, down endless highways, beyond all past limitations. At GTE, we give you the freedom of personal communication and the power of new opportunities. Because at GTE, the power is on.
In 1859, Isaac Cook created a Great American Champagne to launch the Great American Clipper ships. Today, people are still launching celebrations with Cook's Imperial American Champagne.
You don't have to be crazy about home projects to buy a Black & Decker cordless screwdriver or Cordless Screwdriver Plus. You just have to have a screw loose.
When we left you, here's the punt return by Ricky Natillo. Jordan is the guy from behind that strips the ball away. That's before we left. Coming back, Dale Hamer, the referee, has declared to us today we're going to play without the instant replay because he said the whistle is blown. And Hank Kuhlman went absolutely crazy on the sideline.
And Hank Kuhlman and the Cardinals were very upset about some key calls that did not go in favor of the Cardinals and the loss to the LA Raiders a week ago. And Kuhlman is hot right here as Denver is able to maintain possession because of the interpretation that the whistle had blown. So the play dead and no fumble on that cough up by Natillo.
Yeah, there is, if you're going to blow the whistle and blow this play dead, in order for this play to be dead, you've got the rule that Ricky Natillo is a quarterback and in the grass. But I repeat, Dale Hamer is basically telling us we're not going to use the replay today with the inadvertent whistle.
Well, we now know that there is a pretty good portion of the crowd, including the Joker, in favor of the Phoenix Cardinals, although a large contingent on hand from Denver. Broncos now first down from the 43 off a big break. Humphrey to the outside. Penalty marker is down. Humphrey run out by the left corner. Cedric Mack.
Dan Reeves told us it's holding against Denver, and that, unfortunately, is to Gerald Perry's side last week.
Number 60, the offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Well, his name has been called entirely too much for Denver fans thinking in the last several weeks.
Well, Reeves made the point to us that left tackle is the hot corner of the offensive line. It is the quarterback's blind side, trying to lend some support for the left tackle, Gerald Perry, a man who was called for 6 penalties earlier this season in one game against Seattle.
Here's Perry right here, and they're running the sweep. They catch him kind of hooking his arm on the outside on the line. It takes him down. I don't believe that there's any question about that call whatsoever.
Reset the clock to 9:19. Please reset the clock to 9:19.
And as we resume, the Broncos have a 1st and 20 back at the 33. The Denver Broncos, champions of the AFC West for the 4th time in 6 years. They need one victory to clinch home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs, or a loss by Houston would do it. They have clinched home field for their first playoff game, which will be played the weekend of January 6th and 7th, but seeking to clinch it for the rest of the way. Off the relay, Humphrey, proving very tough to haul down. Took Ken Harvey and Tim McDonald to do it.
This guy has made a great transition from the collegiate running ranks to the professional. You find a lot of running backs coming out of college football who stand straight up and run. And Humphrey began his professional career with the Broncos running straight up. Then he hurt his ribs. And now watch him duck that shoulder, take on that tackler, has really progressed quickly for these Denver Broncos into a pure pro running back.
And he picked up 5, and that makes it 1,000 yards on the season. No Denver rookie ever has reached that plateau. Elway in trouble. And goes sideline. Oh, nice catch. Vance Johnson with his 63rd catch of the season. This is a homecoming for, as he calls himself, the Vance.
The Vance.
Went to school at University of Arizona.
This is an excellent job by John Elway, just extending the defense. It's one of the greatest attributes that John Elway has. You see Vance Johnson continuing with the pattern, but the pressure that Elway puts on the defense is that it must continue to cover. He never gives up on a play. And that's why defenses are back there and think, well, the blitz must have gotten him by now, and he still completes the ball for good yardage to Vance Johnson.
It's a 3rd down, 5 from midfield, 4 wideouts for Denver. No score. We're first quarter. And again, the completion to Johnson, and he has the first down. Stopped by outside linebacker Anthony Bell.
Cardinals that time in a pure zone dropping off, and really that's what Denver likes with their small, quick, very, very quick receivers. Elway can just pick and choose. Johnson just goes to the distance he needs for the first down, turns around. Young, 43, the free safety there. And Harvey, 56, finally gets him on the ground. First down, Denver.
Now Mark Jackson is to the left. Steve Sewell has been quiet the last couple of weeks. At the bottom of your screen, Humphrey could not make the turn. Anthony Bell on the scene did not allow it.
Along with Freddie Jonone, pushed him from the outside. Sewell, that time, you mentioned his name. He was out there to block, not to catch.
Bobby Humphrey, Denver's first pick in the supplemental draft, averaging just under 4 yards per carry. He is 5th in the AFC in rushing, and moments ago became the first Denver Bronco rookie to ever hit the 1,000-yard mark. We're at the midway point of this first quarter. Kane in motion. Away to the sideline, and it is picked off by Cedric Mack. Cedric Mack with his 3rd interception of the season. And a pass intended for Vance Johnson.
That's the 17th interception that John Elway has thrown, and Cedric Mack that time guessed and guessed right. Watch his drop. He reads the quarterback's eyes. He's right there with Johnson to make the break, and he comes up with the interception. Phoenix ball.
So the Cardinals take over. They'll have a first down from their 36.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
What'd you get the boys?
Radio Shack's radio-controlled cars. A dual-speed White Tiger Turbo with spring suspension to hug the road. A high-speed Golden Arrow off-roader with lightning response to leave them in the dust. And a turbocharged Ferrari that will burn up the racetrack.
Bob, you got 3 cars. We only have 2 boys.
2 little boys and 1 big one.
Radio-controlled cars from $9.95 to $119.95. Only at Radio Shack, the technology store.
You hear the thunder, the call of the road. No time to wonder, you gotta go.
It's a driving experience like no other. Pontiac Grand Prix.
Get on your Pontiac and ride, Pontiac ride.
Once you experience the 1990 Grand Prix, your approach to driving will never be the same.
Rebuild excitement.
Now get 4.8% financing on every new Grand Prix during Pontiac's All-Out Excitement Closeout.
Life's full of simple pleasures, like the comfort of Levi's jeans. Or had you forgotten?
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer. We build excitement. By Radio Shack, the technology store, America's leader in consumer electronics. And by Coors Light. Pure brewed in the Rockies, the Silver Bullet won't slow you down. It's the right beer now.
Welcome back to Sun Devil Stadium, Tempe, Arizona, located just outside of Phoenix. Marv Albert with Bob Trumpy Halfway point, first quarter, no score between Denver and the Phoenix Cardinals. And Sikahema hit immediately by the right defensive end, Ron Holmes. The Cardinals to the offense following the interception of John Elway by quarterback Cedric Mack. The rookie quarterback, Tim Rosenball, making his first NFL start, thus far is 0 for 2. Cardinals have done nothing offensively. 3 plays and a punt, 3 plays and a punt, and that has been it. Rosenball telling us yesterday that he's had good fortune on games that have been nationally televised. He guided Washington State to an upset win over Troy Aikman and UCLA in the Rose Bowl last season. Led Washington State over Houston in the Aloha Bowl. Able to stand in there, completes to Roy Green, just shy of the first down. Green tackled by Wyman Henderson.
Well, you saw one of his major attributes. This kid has got a gun. The game in the NFL nowadays is strong arms, and watch him. It's up and it's away. Tight spiral on the money. Green catches it for 11 yards. Not enough for the first down, but that quick release and that very strong arm, and that was a spiral to Roy Green. See, he's normally throwing to developmental guys. He's playing John Elway last week, and now as a starter, he gets to throw to the starters.
Yes, he said he was in awe of Roy Green when he first showed up in the training camp. Ron Wolfley able to pick up the first down. Wolfley, a 5-year man out of West Virginia, usually a short yardage specialist, and now being used in the backfield. Earl Farrell, the starting fullback, bothered by a calf injury. But apparently they are going to call for the yardsticks, so it is close.
Even if it is close, you'd certainly think 5-9 Hank Coleman, interim coach. I mean, every series is a 4-down series. What's the sense of punting the ball away?
Because no matter what the conditions, as you see, they pick up the first down. I would think all coaches play it right out of the conservative book. Cardinals first down. Those of you who missed NFL Live, here are some of the headlines from today's show. Dan Reeves said he expects other NFL teams to wait until after the season before interviewing Wade Phillips or Mike Shanahan about head coaching jobs. And Bobby Beathard said he hasn't agreed to join any NFL team next season. Rosenbach. Incomplete, intended for Roy Green. Marcus Allen also acknowledged earlier that he was the subject of trade talks in the early part of the season, and the Browns were trying to acquire his services. It'll be a 2nd and 10 at the 47 with 5:45 remaining in this first quarter. The Phoenix Cardinals have lost 4 in a row. They're 5-9. Their last win, November the 12th, they beat Dallas. You look at the 5 wins, Bob, twice over Dallas. They also knocked off Atlanta, Seattle, and Detroit. They won their first 2, and then they lost 4 in a row. 2nd down and 10. And Rosenbach goes sideline and incomplete. Intended for Sikahema.
Well, I do think one of the things the receivers for the Cardinals are going to have to adjust to is the quarterback for most of the season for Phoenix has been Gary Hogeboom. Not a particularly strong arm. This kid has an absolute gun, and you got to get your hands up there and get him ready to catch the ball. You can see that he doesn't mind taking a hit. You saw in the last rollout, kind of looked a little bit like John Elway. Doesn't give up on the play, keeps trying to make the play. He's better numbers than that, but they're going to give him a good look today, no matter what the score is or how well or poorly he plays.
Hogeboom started 12 games. Get the idea he was not pleased about being pushed aside for the rookie Rosenball. 3rd down and 10. And Rosenball able to flip one out, but short of the first down. The tight end, Jay Novacek, on the reception, but once again, the Cardinals will punt it away.
Nice little rollout pass called by the Cardinals, taking advantage of his mobility. His 2nd completion. Jim Schaffner there is the gray-haired gentleman on the sideline. That's the offensive coordinator, Tom Tupa, with the headset on the backup quarterback. That's the offensive brain trust there for the Phoenix Cardinals now.
And the Broncos make a change in their punt return game as Camarillo drops back. Vance Johnson instead of Ricky Nattiel, who bobbled and then fumbled, but the Broncos got a break with the call of the whistle stopping the play, and they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. So with 5:26 remaining in this first quarter, no score, the 51-yard punt by Camarillo. We'll be back in a moment.
You kept thinking it will stop, it will at some point, but it went on forever. So there was glass everywhere.
In the living room, I have a 700-pound soapstone wood-burning stove that had bounced all the way across the living room, sitting in the middle of the floor. It was obvious from the very beginning that our house was no longer habitable. When I called my agent and told him we needed to find temporary housing, within 48 hours, Allstate had written me a check to pay for our moving expenses and for our rent. I expected bean pushers, and I got sensitive people instead.
If you feel life's more interesting when you make a splash.
It's the right beer now.
If you feel a great beer starts with great water.
It's the right beer now.
Because you're the kind of person who likes to get to the bottom of things. Call for the Silver Bullet, the one that won't slow you down.
Coors Light. It's the right beer now.
This December, things are really heating up. Heating up at every GM division. Each dealer is out to make December hotter than ever before.
Like with the luxury of special monthly terms Cadillac style. Special GMAC Smart Lease terms on luxurious Cadillacs let you travel in the passing lane without leaving your comfort zone.
Yes, this December is incredibly hot at every GM division. It's GM's Hot December. Come feel the heat.
NBC Sports serves your need to know all week long. Dial 1-900-454-3500 for NBC Scores Plus. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anywhere in the USA.
Denver Broncos start out from their 20-yard line. 5:26 to go in this first quarter with no score. Bobby Humphrey and Melvin Bratton in the backfield. Steve Sewell in motion. Here's Humphrey. Out across the 25. Tripped up by the middle linebacker, Eric Hill. Eric Hill, the man who moved from the outside to the inside when he reported to the Phoenix camp, said he had a bad attitude at first and then realized that it was his best chance to make the club, and he's done very well.
He's adjusted very well, as is this gentleman right here, Bobby Humphrey. And Denver's going with the sweep a lot today. Not really going up into that four-man front, but trying to capture the corner.
And Humphrey picked up six carries, 36 yards for the rookie out of Alabama. This is Bratton, and he is stacked up. A short advance by Melvin Bratton. Left defensive tackle Rod Sadler combining with Freddie Joe Nunn. And it will be spotted as a 3rd down and 1 at the 29.
When you look at the middle of this Denver offense, John Elway told us last night his offensive line is a much better run blocking line than pass protection. This is straight ahead blocking against the 4-man front. To see the middle linebacker there, all they're trying to do is shove him out of the way. Bratton picks up very little yardage.
Humphrey, and he stopped behind the line on that 3rd and 1 call. David Galloway, the left defensive end, who has been in and out of the lineup because of injuries. His 8th year from Florida, making the stop.
Well, I tell you, Denver is playing down to Phoenix. Denver at 10-4, playing down to the 5-9 Phoenix Cardinals. I would certainly expect the Denver Broncos to come out here with a little more steam than they've shown in the first quarter.
They do not want it to go to the final game in San Diego next Sunday. They have lost the last 2, losing in the snow to the Giants last week, losing to the Raiders in Los Angeles. Sikahema. It's kind of surprising that he made the catch and then is hit down around the 20 by Scott Curtis on a 49-yard punt. A look at tomorrow's lineup It starts with NFL Live, 12:30 Eastern Time, and a host of important games. Houston at Cincinnati, San Diego playing Kansas City, Indianapolis home for Miami, New England and Pittsburgh. And then the later games, Buffalo coming off a week full of turmoil.
Yes, like every other week with Buffalo.
And it all gets underway with Bob Costas, O.J. Simpson, starting 12:30 Eastern Time. First down at the 91-yard line.
Mecklenburg's got it.
And there goes Mecklenburg in for the score.
Fumbled from the snap. Now you'll see a Phoenix Cardinal on the replay grab a hold of his leg, but Mecklenburg is up and standing. Wow. Room service, something to ignite the Denver Broncos. Watch, he's moving, following motion. Rosenball never gets the snap. He's up off his knee. I believe they're going to count that one. 6 points, Denver, supplied by Carl Mecklenburg.
23-yard run on the fumble return by Mecklenburg, who is on his way to another Pro Bowl appearance. And now David Treadwell for the extra point. Kubiak put it down, and the Broncos with a 7-0 lead. A penalty marker is down. Carl Mecklenburg in his 7th season from the University of Minnesota, the AFC Defensive Player of the Month for November. Well, the call
number 43 the defense
against the Cardinals
on the kickoff. The extra point is good.
And they'll tack it on to the kickoff of the Broncos with the 7-0 lead.
The center is Derek Kennard right in front of Carl Mecklenburg and 55 Dennison. It's all going to happen right here in the middle of all this, and the ball never gets to the quarterback's hands. Now Denver likes to flop their inside linebackers wherever the strength of the offense is, but Mecklenburg, even though he's a linebacker, shows great leg strength and legs it in for the touchdown. Well, the defense for Denver is just about everything else, done just about everything else you can ask of them this season. And here with Wade Phillips, got to be happy.
Well, Carl Mecklenburg told us yesterday that the defensive changes.
Offside, number 45 of the defense on the try, 5-yard penalty on the kickoff.
Mecklenburg telling us the changes this season under Wade Phillips have helped pull the team together with everyone making plays now instead of being funneled to just a few players, which included himself.
Yeah, I liked his line that we no longer stop teams with a scheme, we stop them with players. And that's what Wade Phillips has allowed these players to do. Just go out there and play.
Cardinals now with 3 men back for the kickoff. Sikahema, Baker, and Usher. And here's Sikahema to the 20. Nice cut. Gets across the 25-yard line by Sikahema, 2-time Pro Bowl man, for his skills as a punt and kickoff return player. Tyrone Braxton made the stop, and the Cardinals now down by the score of 7-0 off that fumble recovery and touchdown by Mecklenburg. Will start out at their 27-yard line.
I don't know if there's anything more embarrassing to a center and a quarterback to have something like that happen. Now, all week long, Tim has shared the quarterback duty with Hogaboom and Tupa, but that shouldn't happen. Fumbled snap from center.
Now Jordan and Farrell in the backfield. The center is Derek Kennard. It's Farrell going out to the 30, met by the free safety, the good-looking rookie Steve Atwater.
Good looking. This kid is a player. Interesting note, he is the same size as Jack Lambert, who started at middle linebacker for the Steel Curtain defenses of the Pittsburgh Steelers and won 4 Super Bowls. 6'3½", 215, 16, 17 pounds, and he plays free safety. But he plays it like a middle linebacker.
Denver's #1 draft pick. Some of the late workouts pushed him up in the draft. Rookie from Arkansas, Steve Atwater. Good hole for Farrell. Short of the first down, it is Mecklenburg on the stop. Carl Mecklenburg is the leading tackler on the Broncos, followed by Atwater.
He was the AFC's Defensive Player of the Month for the month of November. You can see him taking on the rookie offensive tackle Wolf, just standing him straight up. This guy can do everything. I mean, he basically is the size of a defensive line. And now Wade Phillips has given him very specific duty so he can go out there with individual talent and make the plays, and he has.
It's a 3rd and 1 at the 36. A minute 40 remaining. First quarter, Denver 7, Phoenix nothing.
Sikahema.
Wide open.
Oh.
Overthrown.
Trap pass. Hank Coolman was telling us yesterday, look out for the trap pass on 3rd down and short. It was there, and he just overthrows him. Well, watch the offensive line. They fake the trap up the middle. Sikahema gets behind the linebackers. Munford, 51, is the man in coverage. If Rosenball can get that ball to him, he's gone for a score.
Coolman pulled that one out of the pages of his USFL playbook. Tell about a successful trap pass pulled off while with Birmingham. Here's Camarillo. And Vance Johnson says fair catch back at his 24-yard line. So with a minute and 23 to go in this first quarter, Denver with a 7-0 lead on the Phoenix Cardinals. 42-yard punt by Camarillo, who leads the NFL in punting. And Rosenbaum chatting on the sideline with Neil Lomax.
And he's the quarterback that this team was built around until the injury to his hip. And there is no question he got hurt playing football. Has 2 years left and a very hefty contract. And he thinks he's going to come back and play somehow.
First down for the 24. Elway has it rejected. So Elway has his pass batted down. It appeared to be the right defensive tackle, Jim Waller. He goes, what, 6'3½"?
Let's see if we can pick up whose hand is up there. Elway just 2 of 6 for 22 yards. That is Waller. It is Waller, the defensive tackle, gets his hand up there. Elway was looking at Vance Johnson all the way, and Waller tips the ball away.
Waller back from a knee injury, a starter the past 5 games. 2nd down 10 from the 24. Well, he threw a bullet for a short pickup. Elway can throw the ball, drilling it to Vance Johnson.
Yeah, he almost tattoos you with it. If you let it get to your body, I mean, you're going to have, you might have Pete Rozell's name on your side, the imprint of the laces. Boom. I mean, sometimes when he throws the football, he appears to be like one of those guys who throws the javelin. I mean, he gets his legs in it and his rear end in it. I mean, he really hums it.
This past week, he confirmed that he's been playing with a cracked rib since back in early November, hit hard by Pittsburgh nose tackle Gerald Williams. Says it is just bruised right now. He's fine. 3rd down and 7. And the ruling is, it is a completed pass for a 1st down. Nice move by Vance Johnson. Check that, Mark Jackson.
Marv, I noticed this is an excellent pattern run by Jackson from the inside with Lonnie Young, the free safety, on him. But did you see Elway just before he put everybody up at the line of scrimmage? The sun here in Sun Devil Stadium is a real problem. And this stadium was built for night football, for college football. It was not built with worrying about the sun in players' eyes or anything like that. So in every instance when you play here at this time of day, either the offense or the defense is going to be staring into the sun.
Play stands, completed pass, 1st down.
They went to the instant replay to check the reception by Mark Jackson. And as you heard, the play does stand. Jackson's first catch of the day. Well, a look at Sun Devil Stadium, the home for Arizona State University football and the site of the Fiesta Bowl that will be seen New Year's Day here on NBC. Florida State going against Nebraska. Humphrey stopped back behind the line by the outside linebacker Ken Harvey, who has had a solid season after what has to be termed a tentative rookie campaign.
Look how far away he comes from to make the play. He's all the way over on the left-hand side. He pursues down the line of scrimmage and is there to make the tackle. Anthony Bell, 55, is there to stop the play. Excellent job. These 3 linebackers are fine players for the Phoenix Cardinals.
And there is the gun. So that is the end of the first quarter. It is Denver 7, and Phoenix nothing.
In the most volatile arena of automotive competition, to compromise is to finish second. Introducing the 1990 Acura Integra.
Heineken.
Amstel Light.
This
so
is
much
it.
better than other
It's a
light
great
beers.
imported beer.
A delicious European
nothing compares
taste,
to the
a
smoothness,
refreshing,
the richness,
satisfying,
or the character
distinctive
of a
flavor
Heineken.
that cuts through
Its
your
quality
thirst.
comes through.
There's a uniqueness to it.
Heineken is America's #1 selling imported beer. Amstel Light is America's #1 selling imported light beer. Why? Just ask the people who drink them.
In my opinion, Amstel Light is the best beer there is. I could go on and on
can't say enough about it.
It's a light
No
beer
matter how
that
many
quenches your thirst.
Morning, folks. This is Captain Neely. Appears we've got the Friendly Skies all to ourselves.
While most people are just getting up, one airline is off to over 200 business centers across the U.S. United.
Thanks for flying the Friendly Skies.
Whenever I used to watch TV, my brother Tom would always flip me out. Then we got this Magnavox Smart Window TV that lets Tommy flip through all the channels. And I could keep watching what I want to. Now I can see what I've been missing. And that's quite a lot.
A classic Christmas ballet comes to the ice with America's sweetheart, Dorothy Hamill. It's a holiday special for the entire family. NutraSweet presents Dorothy Hamill in The Nutcracker on Ice. Next Saturday on NBC Sports World.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Watch the pursuit angle. Here's the runner, and here's the linebacker right here. Now watch how Ken Arby goes through all of the traffic on the offensive line to get there to make the stop from behind the line of scrimmage. Well, you don't teach this. You have this naturally, or you never get it, Marv.
And as we open up the second quarter, Broncos 2nd and 12 from the 35. They lead the Cardinals by the score of 7-0. Elway throwing deep, collision back at the 40-yard line, but no penalty flags are down. Vance Johnson involved with a free safety, Lonnie Young, and Johnson is upset, looking for an interference call.
We got it isolated, and it's incidental contact, is it? You see, Young is waiting on it. Oh, flag should have been thrown. Flag should have been thrown. Stop the pattern a third of the way into it. No flag. So it's 3rd and 12. Lonnie Young got away with one there.
3rd down 12 at the 35. And Elway with the deep drop with the time and has a man wide open. It's Natil for a long gainer inside.
Fumble.
25. He did fumble it. And the call is that it will be Denver ball on a 46-yard reception.
Marcus Turner, the extra defensive back, when he got to Natil, he just knocked it straight out of his arms. And what the officials, I believe, are ruling, watch Natil at the end of this play. Great time for John Elway to find him. This is an excellent catch by Natil. Now watch the tackle. The right arm. Turner comes up, knocks it right out of his hands.
Went out of bounds, but it's still Denver's ball.
See if we can pick up Lonnie. Tim McDonald. Whoa! Oh, where is it going? Where the ball is loose. I don't know if the tip of the ball is out.
Looked like the nose of the ball may have been out of bounds, but it's difficult even from this angle to tell. Here it is again.
Looks like they're going to review it, take a very good look at it. Tim McDonald is in bounds himself. The question is the ball in bounds? We can't tell from there. The last angle we had, I think, was the best angle. But it's hard to tell if the point of the ball is out of bounds, and the ball can be out of bounds and brought back in. It's not the same as the goal line. It has to be touching the out of bounds in order for it to be out of bounds, just like the player. But I don't think because we have any better angle, I believe the play is going to stand there as a completed pass, a fumble, but fumbled out of bounds.
A very nice balancing act by the strong safety Tim McDonald, but it appeared that the nose of the ball was across the end line.
But again, Marv, that is not the goal line, so the rule is not the same. There's not a plane on that sideline. The ball has to touch the out of bounds to be out of bounds.
The play stands. First down.
So the play does stand. The replay official is Jack Fetty. Now what I'm saying is that it appeared that it did, at least from my naked eye, that it did touch the out of bounds area.
If it does, then it's out of bounds. No question about it.
That is what the replay official felt. So the crowd reacts as Denver now first down from the 21-yard line is stopped for a loss on the play as the outside linebackers Harvey and Bell have the clamps on Humphrey.
Well, so far the fans here in Sun Devil Stadium been treated to two very controversial calls, both against Phoenix.
So second down, 14, back at the 25-yard line. And Elway has the completion to Johnson.
Good tackle.
But a very short pickup. A free safety. Lonnie Young, 6-year man from Michigan State, right on the scene. Young making it back from a fractured right shoulder that was suffered on the opening game against Detroit.
With Tim McDonald back there in the defensive backfield along with Lonnie Young, Phoenix has two safeties I think that will be there for a lot of years and ding a lot of players.
It is third down and 11. 7-0. Denver leading Phoenix. Quick release, underthrown, intended for Johnson.
John Elway was very, very upset. Now, I don't know if Vance Johnson was supposed to look quick, but there was a safety blitz. And when there's a safety blitz, at times you're not going to have enough people to pick up the blitzers. And the receiver has to look. And John Elway, watch what he does. Nah, come on. You can see Lonnie Young, 43, coming in there on the blitz. And I think John Elway feels that Vance Johnson didn't see the blitz, and therefore the pass was short.
39-yard field goal attempt for David Treadwell, having an excellent season. One-time Phoenix Cardinal in camp with the Cardinals last year, and he puts it through. Treadwell, 24 for 29 on the year. So the Broncos with a 10-0 lead on the Cardinals.
If you don't want to slow down on your way to the top, because you know to make a beer as refreshing as a mountain stream, you got to start with the Mountain Stream.
It's the right beer now.
When a night on the town might last all night, call for the taste preferred at better night spots. The Silver Bullet, the one that won't slow you down.
It's the right beer now.
They predicted a gloomy year for everyone. But they didn't count on Mazda, with cars and trucks engineered to feel just right. Now Mazda is racing toward an all-time sales record, with record-setting deals that can get you $750 cash back on 89 Mazda trucks now. So come get a record-setting deal at the Mazda Race to the Record. At your local Mazda dealer now.
So Dad had to leave all of a sudden for this big party in Paris. But I made sure he didn't miss anything back here.
Facts in the article about the baseball game with your dad?
Sure am.
Billy, great news on the game. I'm really proud of you. This is Tim Harris, and I'm standing at the Blas.
I just saw you on TV.
What'd you think?
I think you need an assistant about 4'3".
AT&T Long Distance. No one else gives you this remarkable power to manage your world. No one.
Thank you for using AT&T.
Come home to the best in college football and an East-West showdown. The Freedom Bowl pits 1990 Heisman hopeful Emmitt Smith and the Gators of Florida against the Pac-10 runner-up Washington Huskies. The Freedom Bowl, December 30th, only on NBC Sports.
And the kickoff by Treadwell took a high hop, and Sikahema will play it in the end zone. A Cardinal player is down. He's hurt. And
also have a flag.
Penalty marker also thrown. That's Michael Zordich shaken up, number 38.
The flag is thrown back at the spot where the Denver Broncos kicked off. So make him kick it again.
Offside. Number 58 of the kicking team. The penalty is accepted. 5 yards, free kick.
And a Scott Curtis called for the offside. There's Curtis, who has been a very strong special teams player, second season out of the University of New Hampshire. And Treadwell will kick it again. Rich Carlos was the Denver kicker last season, and Treadwell beat him out. He was acquired early in training camp, first-year player from Clemson. Spent part of last year in the Phoenix Cardinal training camp, and has done a very fine job. A couple of game-winning field goals, successful on his first 11 field goal attempts before missing a 54-yarder against the San Diego Chargers.
This field is beginning to look like the schoolyard here. Began a beautifully painted green and is now suddenly becoming brown. Arizona State had 8 home games this year in Sun Devil Stadium and really tore it up. This stadium, by the way, is built on rock. Underneath here is rock. You don't just dig dirt out from underneath this floor.
And one of the upmen, Darrell Usher, on the return, gets across the 30-yard line. 2 minutes have gone by. In the second quarter, the Broncos with a 10-0 lead. The fumble recovery, a 23-yard run off the fumble by Mecklenburg, and the 39-yard field goal by Treadwell. So the rookie, Tim Rosenbaugh, looking at a first down from the 32. Phoenix invisible thus far offensively, accounting for only 1 first down and 33 total yards. And Rosenbaugh thus far is 2 for 7 with 14 yards. Farrell, the ball carrier.
That's one of the problems that Phoenix has really had without a consistent running game. And Stump Mitchell hurt out for the season. Had to rely on their fullbacks and not really been able to get it done. You can also see Rosenbaugh staring right into that sun. Now, it's tough to find receivers when you've got that sun right in your eye.
It is a second down and 8 at the 33. Off the roll. Rosenbaugh did not fool anyone. Ron Holmes making it 9 sacks the last 9 games.
He had a receiver open, too. Sikahema ran the pattern out of the backfield, but Holmes was there to get him before he could even get the ball up to try to make the attempt. See Sikahema on the left? Now watch him. He'll be open just above the left corner of the screen. Rosenbaugh just can't get it up and throw it. As a matter of fact, that ball appears to pop loose, but they call him in the grass.
Well, with Rosenbaugh the starter at quarterback today, Cardinal General Manager Larry Wilson telling us, as you mentioned, that this in effect is the first game for the Cardinals of 1990. We mentioned that to Dan Reeves, and he said, well, I hope they don't win their home opener. And it is a 10-0 Denver lead. Third down, 17. Rosenbaugh airing it out, and it is broken up. The pass intended for Darrell Usher, and Mark Haynes got a piece of it.
I'm kind of surprised at the approach here by Phoenix. You've got a rookie quarterback. This is his first start. And my feeling is that the best way that you establish this kid is you give him high percentage passes to complete. He's thrown the ball way down the field 3 different times. He's not completed one yet. And you're not going to do much for his confidence by giving the low percentage passes some priority.
And Camarillo punting once again to Vance Johnson. Nice moves by Johnson, but he could not get outside. A 44-yard punt and a 6-yard return. Timeout taken. Back in a moment.
They predicted a gloomy year for everyone. But they didn't count on Mazda, with cars and trucks engineered to feel just right. Now Mazda is racing toward an all-time sales record, with record-setting deals that can save you up to $1,000 now. So come get a record-setting deal at the Mazda Race to the Record. At your local Mazda dealer now.
Imagine a world beneath the sea with an enchanted McDonald's of pure fantasy, where the Little Mermaid's friend Sebastian and Flounder the fish come to life to grant your holiday wish.
Buy a $5 book of McDonald's gift certificates and get a free plush ornament, either Flounder
That's me.
or Sebastian. I always knew I'd be famous. From the all-new Disney animated feature, The Little Mermaid, now in theaters everywhere.
So come to McDonald's, hurry along. Like a true fantasy, it's here then, score. Your holiday place, McDonald's.
Hey, party people! I got some more party time tips for you from Extra Gold Draft. First, never party with anything less than a full tilt taste of Extra Gold. This is some serious beer. Another tip, the next time your buddy sets you up with a blind date, try not to look too surprised the first time you see her. Betty, right? I'm Tom. She likes me.
Ask for an extra. Go for the full tilt taste.
It's this cologne.
NBC sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Extra Gold Draft, the party time beer with a full tilt taste. By the good time, great taste of your holiday place, McDonald's. And by Mazda Cars and Trucks. Mazda, it just feels right.
Welcome back to Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. Marv Albert, Bob Trumpy. The Denver Broncos first down at their 37-yard line. They lead the Phoenix Cardinals by the score of 10-0. We are early second quarter. Big hole for Melvin Bratton. Working his way across the 45. The left defensive tackle Rod Sadler making the stop. Word on Ricky Natil, the wide receiver and return man. He is out for the game because of a strained right knee. Natil involved in a controversial play earlier in the game, coughing it up. The Phoenix Cardinals thought that they had held on to the ball just before it crossed the end line, and Natil has had it for the day. Strained his right knee. Second back coming through. Big hole for Humphrey, stopped by Eric Hill, and the Broncos have a first down.
That's where he functions very, very well. Of course, at Alabama, but all they ran was the I formation. Bobby Humphrey very deep with that lead blocker Bratton in front of him. Watch how quickly he gets through that line of scrimmage. Now see, he also has got that forward body lean, protects himself, drags people along. If he stays healthy, he's going to run for a lot of yards for Denver.
And the Broncos first down at the 48. Bratton picking his way inside the 45. The left defensive end, David Galloway, making the stop. Well, recapping, the Broncos with that interception to stop the early drive. Cedric Mack, the left corner, picking it off. The fumble recovery by Mecklenburg, who ran it in from 23 yards away, and then the field goal by Treadwell for a 10-0 Denver lead. Second down and 6 at the Phoenix 44. Elway off the roll, could not find anyone, and then completes to Bratton. But he is shy of the first down. The free safety, number 43, Lonnie Young, on the tackle.
But that is vintage John Elway. He never gives up on a play. Gets to the sideline. He's flushed out of the pocket again by Tim McDonald, 46, the strong safety. Still looking for a receiver. Goes back across his body, right on the numbers to Mel Bratton, and he picks up 7 or 8 yards. He's amazing how he has that ability. He never seems to give into a play.
Particularly when he throws against the grain way across the field. Third down and 2 at the Cardinal 40. Play action, and it's a first down. The tight end Clarence Kay picks it up, run out by Mack, and young. Clarence Kay, a player who's been frustrated about his season before last week. He had not caught a pass in 3 straight weeks. 3 receptions in the snow against the Giants made him a little bit happier last week.
Nice play action fake, and again this ball low. He does a good job of getting down there, and then as a runner, McDonald misses him. And Young and Mack finally get him down. First down pickup. Drive stays alive for Denver. They started out very slow, but now they're getting some momentum in their offense.
17-yard advance. First reception by Kay. And Elway goes the middle and completes to Johnson. Whistle had blown. The play is dead. Anthony Bell on the stop. And that is 5 receptions for Vance Johnson.
And their leading receiver this year, over 1,000 yards. John Elway this season, and the Denver Broncos have a 1,000-yard receiver in Vance Johnson, 1,000-yard rusher in Bobby Humphrey, something they did not have in their trips to the Super Bowl in '86 and '87.
Vance Johnson, a star running back at the University of Arizona in Tucson, making the transition to the wide receiver position in the NFL.
He's so fast, it's scary, too.
2nd down 8, number 21. Humphrey. Change of direction, beautiful cut, and it will be a 1st and goal for the Broncos.
Well, he does an outstanding job of setting up the block of the guard Waddell. He absolutely makes all the yards here by himself. Now you'll watch the guard pull out in front of him, 67. Now watch what he does to Ken Harvey. Stops him, gives Waddell a chance to hit him, and then Waddell ends up getting Young and Harvey. That's all on Bobby Humphrey. He did that all himself. Used the blocker perfectly.
He went 18. 1st and goal down at the 3.
Sewell.
Oh, that completely fooled the Cardinals. But a penalty marker is down.
I think they're going to call Clarence Kay on a crackback block.
Even when Sewell was in the end zone, the Cardinals did not realize that he had the ball.
Now they're calling the right guard Waddell on a trip.
Whisper foul, tripping, number 67 in the offense. 10-yard penalties, still 1st down.
And that is the right guard, Doug Waddell.
This is a beautifully executed play. Here's the guy they call it on. Now he pulls out ahead of Steve Sewell. And you see Waddell right at the edge of your screen. He's out there. Whoa, wait a minute. That's a trip. You can't leg whip people down, but it appeared that the offensive guard already had the guy on going down, that his leg just fell over because of his own weight. Wow.
And it sets it back to a 1st and goal at the 13. 8th play of the drive. Humphrey. This time could not get inside, had a notion to cut in earlier, but Hill and Bell stayed right with him.
Excellent pursuit by all the Phoenix Cardinals, and this time the guard, Bobby Humphrey, just the numbers were in the favor of the Phoenix Cardinals.
58 is Eric Hill, Cardinals #1 draft pick out of LSU. Lost a yard on the play. 2nd and goal back at the 14 with just under 6 minutes to go in this 1st half.
And you see Denver without Natil going with 3 wide receivers, and Kay, the tight end, is standing up as the 4th.
Elway has Sewell. Touchdown. Steve Sewell soaring over.
Ken Harvey, the linebacker, was the man in coverage. A 14-yard catch. I said Clarence Kay was in the ball game. Actually, it was Orson Mobley as the 4th wide receiver. And Sewell, you see him as the back right there in front of Elway, and Elway locks onto him. And then the high jump, the old scissors play, and he's in the end zone twice. 1 counts.
14-yard touchdown pass play. 3rd touchdown of the season for Sewell. And Treadwell, as Kubiak was able to handle that high snap, put it through. So John Elway Now 10 for 16, 119 yards. Steve Sewell, a quiet man in recent weeks, able to go over for the score.
They predicted a gloomy year for everyone. But they didn't count on Mazda, with cars and trucks engineered to feel just right. Now Mazda is racing toward an all-time sales record, with record-setting deals that can get you $750 cash back on 89 Mazda trucks now. So come get a record-setting deal at the Mazda Race to the Record. At your local Mazda dealer now.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
This Christmas, we gave our family a new Radio Shack compact disc player.
It has a wireless remote and is sale priced at $159.95.
We saved $70.
And for Tony's gift, we got Radio Shack's portable CD player and saved $60. Headphones make it perfect for his dorm.
Or he uses a car adapter.
Because Tony has a habit of dropping in.
CD players at sale prices that are real music to your ears. Only at Radio Shack, the technology store.
Wrap up the holidays with Batman. The gift you want to give, the gift they want to get. Batman on video cassette, specially priced at stores everywhere.
Hit it, boys.
Isn't there someone you know who could use a skill twist this Christmas? The skill twist. The practical gift for practically anybody.
The Oilers. The Bengals. A rumble in the jungle. Then Kelly and Montana. Two top guns. Two NFL powerhouses. Sunday.
As the Broncos prepare to kick off just a moment ago, Gary Hogeboom warming up on the sideline. It could be a quick thumb for the rookie Tim Rosenball. What's your feeling about that?
I don't like it. He only gets a quarter and a half. I don't like it a bit.
Returned by Sikahema. And yes, that's it for Rosenball. And Gary Hogeboom.
I don't like this.
Will come on.
I don't like this. He's your first-round draft choice. He's your quarterback of the future. You got to give him more than a quarter and a half. I mean, I realize he's only 2 for 8 for 14 yards. But, I mean, at 5 and 9, you got to give him more of a chance than that. Hank Coolman, the head coach, makes the choice. Hogeboom is back in the ball game, and I think the fans have just recognized it.
Well, could that be Hank Coolman desperately seeking a win in the NFL? But he's
sure. But still, I think the future of this quarterback is with Rosenball.
However, Hogeboom completes to the tight end Robert Awald, stopped by Mark Mumford. So the Cardinals back to the offense, and the stats on Rosenball: 2 completions, 2 out of 8, 14 yards. That's it. He certainly had his difficulties, but obviously a very difficult situation against the #1 defensive unit in the NFL.
And Mom's here, too, for Pullman Wharf.
Rosie made the trip.
Could you feel any worse?
2nd down 5 at the 32. 5 minutes left. Just under 5 left, first half. Hogeboom, snowed under. Second sack for the Broncos. Warren Powers and Greg Cragen appeared to be involved.
43rd sack of the season for this Denver defense. And you can see they basically just overpower the offensive line. Joe Wolf got over man. He's number 68. He was the man on Holmes. And also Lance Smith was basically run over.
And there's Powers, man with very long arms, 39-inch sleeve length. A Denver second pick on the second round out of Maryland. 3rd down and 13 from the 24. Broncos 17, Cardinals nothing. Hogeboom running out of the pocket and nearly picked off.
Mark Haynes finally got it, but he was out of bounds. Randy Robbins had it right in his hands. Ball was intended for Darrell Usher. Going to happen all to the right as Hogeboom is flush from the pocket. Bronco first. Through his hands. Usher doesn't get it. Finally, Haynes does, but the second foot comes down out of bounds. It brings up 4th down.
Randy Robbins, number 48, replacing the injured Dennis Smith, sitting it out today. 6th punt of the day for the busy Rich Camarillo. And Vance Johnson is back. Camarillo from his 10. Johnson from the 31. Good coverage by the Cardinals, led by Ron Wolfley, who's been outstanding on special teams. 45-yard punt and a 3-yard return. NFL Live at halftime. Bob Costas, O.J. Simpson running down scores and highlights and taking a close-up look at the oldest and youngest centers in the NFL. Mike Webster of Kansas City, 21-year-old Courtney Hall, a rookie for the San Diego Chargers. It is a first down at the 35 with 4:05 to go in this first half. Humphrey following blockers.
Humphrey carries.
Oh, Bobby Humphrey having an excellent first half. Run out by Anthony Bell. 58 yards, 13 carries for Humphrey.
He would have gone over 1,000 yards last week if there hadn't been all the holding calls against his offensive lineman.
He had a 50-yard run called back. Gerald Perry called on the infraction. A reminder to our viewers that we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game at the conclusion of the game. It is a 2nd and 6 from the 39. Denver looking to clinch home field advantage for the entire playoffs. Humphrey battling his way just short of the first down. Galloway and Hill have the reps around Humphrey and make the stop. Denver comes in at 10 and 4. They are already champions of the AFC West. They need one win to clinch home field advantage, or a loss by Houston would do it. They have clinched home field for their first playoff game. That'll be played the weekend of January 6th and 7th. 3rd down and 1. And the first down is picked up on the sneak by Elway.
Now this one is getting out of hand in a hurry here. One of the things that the Cardinal folks kept telling us over the last couple of days is that the team had not quit, the players had not quit, and the coaches had really inspired the team to play and play very well. Last week against the Raiders, they were in it to the last snap.
Yeah, they kept making the point they play hard. Not to say they have not played hard here in the first half, but they're trailing badly, 17-0. Humphrey again prevented from making the turn by Bell and Hill.
Well, when they go in at halftime trailing 17-0 at least in the second to last game of the season, and Rosenbach gets a grand total of a quarter and a half's worth of play in this game, there's going to be some long faces in that Cardinal locker room if there haven't been before now.
It's also the question as to who made the decision to play Rosenbach. The front office certainly has the right to do what they would like, and apparently they wanted to take a long look at a guy they've invested a lot of money in. It is completed to the tight end Clarence Kay.
Although, Marv, I must tell you, in my estimation now, with Larry Wilson as the general manager of the Cardinals, I do believe that he's now the man making the decisions, and he allowed Hank Coleman and the coaching staff to make the decision, and Rosenbach was chosen as the starter yesterday morning, and I think he hoped that it would go more than a quarter and a half.
First down at the 39-yard line as Elway fires deep downfield, and it is intercepted. Cedric Mack with his second interception of this first half. The pass intended for Mark Jackson.
That's 18 interceptions on the season for John Elway. Mack stays with the coverage. Jackson, tremendous speed, but he just plays the ball perfectly, catches it. Elway now 11 of 18, 130 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions.
And for Mack, his 4th interception of the season. So with 2 minutes 7 seconds left in this first half, the Cardinals will take over. 17-0. The Broncos on top. It's been a season of of turmoil for the Cardinals. Host of injuries, losing record, the firing of head coach Gene Stallings, and fan apathy leading to the small crowds and criticism of Cardinal owner Bill Bidwell. That was certainly dealt with on NFL Live earlier today. Hogaboom on the swing for Sikahema.
The Cardinals still only have 1 first down with 2 minutes to go in the first half. 1 first down.
And a timeout taken as we come up to 2 minutes remaining in this first half.
Working to be the best they can be. Teammates, sponsored by the U.S. Army. Throughout the 80s, the Cardinals' offensive line has sprung outstanding running backs. The great Otis Anderson, number 32, was backed up by gutsy Stump Mitchell, number 30. When Anderson was traded to the Giants, Mitchell got his chance to star. An injury in a game versus his former running mate ended his '89 season, but proved that Anderson and Mitchell are teammates for life, who made each other the best they can be.
Tell me, is he still upset?
Well, you know Dad.
Never really understood why I joined. I mean, maybe you'll go straight to college. But I had to prove something to myself first.
The GI Bill and Army College Fund. If you qualify, you can get more than $25,000 for college and an edge on life.
You think Dad'll ever come around? Dad?
I like wheeling and dealing and a penthouse view, dressing for success and knowing who's who. Bright lights, fast lane, and my big-time career. Meetings of the board and cold Coors beer. If you like your beer fresh, pure, and natural, head for the Rockies on the original taste of Coors. To have an ice-cold Coors with a friend of yours. Coors, the Rocky Mountain legend.
Tomorrow's NBC lineup that gets underway with NFL Live starting at 12:30. Incidentally, Steve Young will start for the injured Joe Montana against the Buffalo Bills. The late games, Buffalo, San Francisco, the Jets playing the Rams in Anaheim.
Marv, interesting point on this ball game. Phoenix has a grand total of 24 yards in the first half, and first downs clearly in favor of the Denver Broncos.
It is a 2nd and 10 from the 20 for the Cardinals, who took over off that second interception by Mack. Hogaboom, incomplete. Sikahema should have held on. Did not. He was covered by the linebacker, Scott Curtis.
Now, I would have preferred to see Rosenbaugh with this opportunity. Throw the ball underneath as opposed to way down deep down the field. And you see Hogaboom, this is kind of a crossing pattern. You see Sikahema just out of the backfield. Curtis with decent coverage. Ball just thrown out of Sikahema's reach. I wish they'd given Tim Rosenbaugh that opportunity. Throw to the backs in the flat. Throw to the backs across the middle. He does not look happy.
And here's Hogaboom. And he completed to Novacek. It appeared that it was about to be intercepted.
Novacek basically a tight end out there. That's a 25-yard pickup.
First charge, timeout. Cardinals, 40-second timeout.
So
40 seconds.
Cardinals call for the timeout. Gary Hogaboom has been the starter for the Cardinals for 12 of their games. Last week, directed a grinded-out attack effectively against the Raiders, although he did throw 2 touchdown passes, making it a career high of 12. Had a 12 for 24, 160 yards, and right there able to connect with Jay Novacek, 5-year player out of Wyoming, for a 25-yard connection.
You mentioned earlier that Hogaboom was kind of shoved aside. That happened to him in Dallas. That happened to him in Indianapolis. And then today it happened to him again, but he sits for a quarter and a half and he replaces Tim Rosenbaugh. Try to generate some offense here for the Phoenix Cardinals. Just their 2nd first down in the first half of this game.
So first down at the 44. Gary Hogaboom signed with Phoenix as a Plan B free agent. Originally a 5th-round draft pick of the Dallas Cowboys. Hogaboom going sideline. And now he is intercepted by Tyrone Braxton. The pass intended for Roy Green. So the Broncos going with the 6 defensive backs. And Braxton with his 6th interception of the season. He's among the NFL leaders of that department.
And for Hogaboom, his 17th interception. This is a pattern. It's like an out and up to Roy Green. Braxton, who has played spectacular football for this defensive backfield. Not a great man-on-man coverage guy, but good in zone and excellent tackler. That time, fine coverage. And Denver has the ball again.
Broncos first down from their 28 with 1:36 remaining first half. Denver 17, Phoenix nothing. Humphrey with a big hole. And Humphrey gets to midfield. The strong safety, Tim McDonald, on the stop. There's Humphrey, rolled up 23 more yards.
Hurry up offense by Denver. They want more points.
Humphrey has gone for 90 yards now, 16 carries. Elway firing and has a first down. Clarence Kay with his 2nd catch of the day. Hill and McDonald on the stop.
First charge, timeout. Denver, 42nd timeout.
Calls for time,
40
1:08
seconds.
remaining as Kay limps to the sideline, 1:08 left in this first half.
Well, they already got Ricky Nutile over there on the sideline with a knee problem. Worst thing that could happen is you lose a lot of players in this game, although you are going to have a couple of weeks to get them ready to play.
17-0. Broncos scoring on a fumble recovery by Mecklenburg, a 39-yard field goal by Treadwell, and a 14-yard pass play, Elway, for Sewell. When we were chatting last night with John Elway, spent a lot of time talking about what was going through the mind of Tim Rosenbaum. And he said when he was a rookie, players would tell him, hey, go out and have fun. He said he'd really like to hear that. He said, what kind of fun can you have when you're out there facing that kind of pressure? I said, well, throw a couple of one-liners at the defensive linemen that are coming at you.
Yeah, right.
That'll be real fun.
Yeah, this is real fun as I'm climbing out underneath 1,200 pounds of body.
And Elway, well, let's see, is it ruled a completion?
One guy says yes, the other one says no.
Sewell, on the deflection, was able to follow it through.
Foul, roughing the passer, number 78, 15 yards.
Flag thrown. 78 is Freddie Joe Nunn. So they didn't need the catch. They're going to get the yards on the penalty.
That was deflected, tipped by backup tight end Pat Kelly, followed by Steve Sewell.
Foul, roughing the passer, number 78, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Freddie Joe Nunn, you got to walk away after that second step. He tries to indicate that he's not hammering him into the ground, but he did make contact with him clearly after the ball was thrown.
Thus Denver has a first down at the 20 with 1:01 remaining in this first half.
Safety blitz.
And Elway completes to Johnson. Nice spin by the Vance Johnson, putting the move on Cedric Mack right at the first down marker.
Johnson's 6th catch so far in the first half. He runs the out. And you can see Cedric Mack is there with him, and then nice move, and he gets out of bounds.
Well, Vance Johnson, 6 receptions for 40 yards. He now has 68 catches on the season. Just under 1 minute left in the half. It's a 2nd and 1 at the 11. Elway with the time, and then decides to go down.
Intended receiver Mel Bratton did not run a particularly good pattern. But by going down on his knee, stops the clock immediately, and Denver takes a timeout.
Second charge, timeout. Dallas, 42nd timeout.
He's looking for Bratton, 32. You see Anthony Bell got his hands all over him, and Elway has nobody to throw it to, so he goes down on his knee to stop the clock.
It will be a 3rd down and 6 at the 16. Mike Shanahan has been preaching to John Elway, don't force the play, and Well, he certainly didn't force it. That's an unusual thing to see the quarterback go down in that manner.
Yeah, when he puts his knee down, that basically is behind the line of scrimmage, stops the clock, and he can call the timeout there. So John was very, very smart in that situation. Yeah, he and Mike Shanahan have spent a lot of time together, and when Shanahan came back to Denver from the Raiders, we asked him if we thought he saw any difference in John. He said, absolutely none. Still one of the rare talents in the NFL.
And the reports circulating concerning Mike Shanahan, who appears to be headed for the University of Kentucky, but said there'll be nothing more about that until after the game. Elway goes incomplete.
Well, Mobley was totally uncovered. Again, a safety blitz. The Cardinals coming with that a lot. And Mobley was out there all by himself.
So it is a 4th down and 6, and David Treadwell will come on.
That time Harvey in there, and he knew he had an open receiver, but just couldn't quite get it to him.
This will be a 33-yard attempt for Treadwell, who earlier hit from 38. He is 24 for 29 on the season. So the Denver Broncos extend to a 20-0 lead on the Phoenix Cardinals. David Treadwell, who says that visualization is a big part of his game. Before Treadwell kicks, he visualizes the ball splitting the uprights, and he sees the 3 points going up on the board. I know you're a great believer in visualization.
Oh, yes. I try that all the time.
Very nice.
That always seems to work. Visualization?
Yeah.
When you make them. But when you don't make them, it's the holder, it's the weather, it's the sun, it's the ground.
Well, on that very subject, Bob, this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Phoenix Cardinals of the National Football League is prohibited. And this game is the property of the NFL. All rights reserved. 43 seconds remaining. In this first half, all Denver, 20-0 lead. The kickoff by Treadwell, followed by Sikahema. Out to the 20. So Sikahema is all down, and with 38 seconds to go in the half, the Cardinals will start out from their 21-yard line.
Boy, is this place quiet?
And this, their biggest crowd of the season, thanks to the support from Denver. A large contingent of fans have made their way. The Cardinals average only 41,000 in attendance. Many in the crowd today wearing the orange of Denver. Even the Denver fans have been quiet because it's been a wipeout first half. Intended for Sikahema.
Oh, this offense can't do anything right. They got 2 first downs, and they pull Rosenball because it doesn't look like he can complete a pass, but now they continue to drop him for Gary Hogeboom. Hogeboom's 3 of 7, 29 yards, an interception. Not a half you'd want to keep on film. Yeah, he's the only one left. Tom Tupa. We can try him before this day's out.
Tupa seeing action last week as the punter for the injured Rich Camarillo. Did a good job. Denver 245 total yards. Phoenix only 48.
And remember, they got 25 on one play to Novacek for a tight end.
Second down 10. And Hogeboom incomplete. Intended for Sikahema.
Must tell you, though, as miserable as this offense looks, I consider this Phoenix Cardinal team a team with a considerable amount of talent. I mean, I realize that sounds ridiculous, 5-9 and playing the way they are, but I think if they get Stump Mitchell back, this has a decent offensive line. I think Roy Green and J.T. Smith, who is hurt, are 2 excellent receivers, although getting up in years. And then the strength of this team, I think, is on its defense. Someone's going to come in here as a head coach and turn the Phoenix Cardinals around, and it's not going to take years.
In effect, it's the type of team you would like to take over.
Oh,
because,
yes.
There is that potential there. Although their standout players, as you see the flags tossed, are getting up there in age. Stump Mitchell at 30, J.T. Smith up there.
False start. Number 62 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
That's the rookie Mike Zandowski called on the false start.
He's playing because Tootie Robbins is hurt, and Joe Wolf, 68, is playing right tackle for him. They're going to be very active in the Plan B free agency. Larry Wilson told us that yesterday. They're going to go out and find a lot of people because they do want to make this team a winner, and they have a good nucleus on defense and some good players in offense.
Third down, 15. A completion for John Holmes. He is short of the first down. Clock is running down to 15 seconds to go in the half. Brooks and Braxton made the stop. And now the timeout called by Denver. So one timeout apiece remaining. And 16
That's
seconds.
the third and final charge timeout. 40 seconds.
Now a correction. That was the final timeout for Denver. Coming up at halftime, Bob and OJ and NFL Live. Gail Gardner will have a close-up look at the oldest and youngest centers in the National Football League. Profiling Mike Webster of Kansas City, 21-year-old Courtney Hall of San Diego. Fine shot, suitable for framing, including the insiders, Ralph Wiley and Bobby Beathard.
No phones on the insiders. I'm shocked.
All right, Rich Camarillo, who has, it seems, spent the entire first half back in punt formation, punting for the 7th time. Vance Johnson letting it roll, and the clock is rolling down. Stopped with 6 seconds remaining. A 48-yard punt credited to Camarillo, and the Broncos with 6 seconds remaining in the half take over.
There's Hank Koeman, the head coach. 0-3 on his Christmas wish list. He said he wanted his first victory as a head coach. Doesn't look like it's going to come today. May next week. Not today.
Well, the Cardinals conclude their second season in Arizona with a game against the Eagles in Philadelphia. I don't see any bounties being put out on the Cardinals. I don't think you can rev up any anger.
No.
And that is it for the first half. So here at Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Dan Reeves and the Denver Broncos with a 20-0 lead on the Cardinals of Phoenix. We'll be back after these messages.
You think you're better than me, don't you?
Oh, not again. I was better than you in high school. I was better than you in college. And I'm better than you now.
There are still some people in this world who can change tax brackets without changing personalities.
You want to put that to a test?
Let's go.
Now?
Now.
For those people, there's a car called the Legend Coupe from Acura. #1 in customer satisfaction 3 years in a row.
We're very fortunate in pro football to have the fan support of so many, literally millions of people across the United States. And I think of NFL Charities as being a means for the member clubs to give back to the community, give back to the fans.
Founded in 1973, NFL Charities has enabled the NFL owners to collectively make grants of over $8 million to worthy national organizations.
In reality, NFL Charities has opened the door for other sports to follow their example, and as a result, we're getting more contributions from them, and we've been able to educate many, many youngsters who might otherwise not have had an opportunity to go to college.
The support that the Vince Lombardi Cancer Research Center receives from the National Football League and its owners is vital.
I think it's one of the outstanding accomplishments of our league. One of the things that makes me proud to be associated with the National Football League is NFL Charities.
NBC sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Acura. Experience an Acura, the most satisfying automobile in America 3 years in a row. Stay tuned for NFL Live after these messages from your local station. Tonight, what do you get the Golden Girls for Christmas?
Dorothy said you'd like something crotchless.
Then Empty Nest gets a humbug surprise.
Follow along on your own time. You got doctoring to do.
Then an all-new Bob Hope Christmas with Barbara Eden, the Judds, and a special tribute to John Wayne. Bob Hope's Christmas show from Hawaii after the comedies tonight.
If there's one thing I've learned about the weather around here, it can change like that. That's why I drive a Ford Tempo. With four-wheel drive, traction, and security at the touch of a button. Four-wheel drive on Tempo. I like that. See your Ford dealer today.
Right now, your Ford dealer has a special allocation of Ford Tempos. Special editions, front-wheel drives, four-wheel drives, and Tempos priced $2,400 less than Honda Accord.
Now get $600 factory cash back on every Tempo in stock at your Ford dealer today.
When it comes to performance, some cars just won't accept anything less than Conoco Super Unleaded. By eliminating knocks and pings, Conoco Super Unleaded helps protect your investment. Conoco, your car deserves a gas this good.
Channel 4 is home of the Denver Broncos.
Welcome back to our NFL Live studios. At halftime, Bob Costas along with O.J. Simpson. The Broncos leading here over Phoenix 20-0 with a victory. The Broncos clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs in the AFC. Obviously, that makes a big difference to almost any team, but with the Broncos, their home field advantage has really been a distinct one. Under Dan Reeves, they're way, way over 500 at home and beneath 500 on the road. They're a 5-1 playoff team at Mile High Stadium in their history. They really want to wrap this thing up with a week to go. They've already clinched the title in the Western Conference, of course, Western Division of the American Football Conference. And at 10-4, they lead the 5-9 Phoenix Cardinals 20-0 at halftime. Now, in a note pertaining to one of the key games tomorrow, Joe Montana will not start for the 49ers when they host Buffalo. He'll rest his various injuries, sore ribs, the most prominent among them. Steve Young will start instead. Now, O.J., your thoughts on the 49ers? I know you've got a piece on them tomorrow pertaining to their owner, Edward DeBartolo.
Well, on the surface, this may appear to be good news for 49er fans. They won't have to go against Joe Montana, maybe the best quarterback in football today, who's having a career year. But this may not be the good news that they think it is. Normally, once a team has clinched the playoffs, especially once they clinch home field advantage, the team could get flat. You've seen it happen to Denver the last couple of weeks. The 49ers are a team with a complete roster. They have some great players who are in backup positions, like Steve Young and Terrence Flagler. And believe me, those guys won't be flat. They haven't had a chance to play much this year, and they want to show what they can do. So they're an excellent team with or without Joe Montana, and emotionally, this may work against the Buffalo Bills.
All right, Chiefs. Earlier today, the Giants took a half-game lead in the NFC East with a 15-0 win over the Cowboys, who fall to 1-14. Some of the highlights from this one: very cold day at the Meadowlands. Bill Parcells with his quarterback Phil Simms, and here's Simms in action in the second quarter. Plenty of time. He'll hit Lee Roussan over the middle. The pickup is 39 yards. It leads to Bjorn Nitmo's third field goal of the half and a 9-0 Giant lead. Lawrence Taylor, with the sore ankle, played almost the entire game and was in pretty good form. Here he combines with Carl Banks to sack Troy Aikman in the third quarter. Big day for the seemingly ancient O.J. Anderson, 25 carries, 91 yards, including this 1-yard scoring run on a 4th and goal in the third quarter. The Cowboys thought they were in it. They had 1st and goal at the 1. The Giants stopped them 4 straight times, including Banks wrapping up Paul Palmer here. And Parcells exults on the sidelines. Afterwards, he was asked if his defense has started to rise to the occasion every time the other team has 1st and goal. Remember, they did it last week against the Broncos.
Well, sure, and they're more than starting to. They're expecting to on that goal line now. They're expecting to. What'd I tell them? No, get the guy with the ball.
Expert advice from Parcells. The Giants now wait to see how Philadelphia fares on Monday night in New Orleans. The two teams came into the weekend in a first-place tie, with the Eagles holding the tiebreaker thanks to their season sweep head-to-head against the Giants. New York is assured in any case now of at least a wild-card berth. In the AFC, the Chiefs are involved in a scramble for the 2 wildcard spots. Tomorrow, they face the Chargers, which will provide an interesting chance to compare 2 generations of NFL players. San Diego rookie Courtney Hall is rated by many experts as next in the line of great centers. That includes the likes of Jim Ringo, Jim Otto, Dwight Stevenson, and of course, former Steeler Mike Webster, who now anchors the Chiefs' young offensive line, young other than Webster himself. Gail Gardner has the story of the elder statesman and the young prodigy. Gail?
August 5th, 1989, Canton, Ohio. Terry Bradshaw inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
What I wouldn't give right now to put my hands under Mike Webster's butt just one more time. Thank you, Mike.
Mike Webster, his hard work and dedication are legendary. His devotion to a task that for years has been one of the most thankless in football is beyond your wildest imagination. Webster will also head to the Hall of Fame someday, carrying his 4 Steelers Super Bowl rings with him, and the knowledge that his last hurrah in Kansas City is not a quiet one. Meanwhile, in San Diego, the torch is being passed to another number 53, Chargers rookie Courtney Hall, who spearheads a new generation of centers. Like Webster, he is undersized, but his talent and will have brought him immediate attention. At 21 years of age, Courtney Hall is the youngest player here in San Diego. In fact, he's the youngest player in the NFL. At 37, the Chiefs' Mike Webster is one of the oldest, a career just beginning and one in its twilight, in a center position that has changed and expanded with the increased complexity of the game. In an era of dominating and sometimes ferocious nose tackles, the center, the often forgotten man of the front line, has suddenly become more prominent. What makes a good center?
First of all, you got to be able to bend over and look ridiculous effectively.
I know the first time I started playing position, my mother, she's like, what do you do out there? You just snap the ball, that's it, and you just stand up? I'm like, no, I do a lot more than that.
You know, if he can move and think at the same time, that's just a plus.
Mike Webster, the veteran starter for Kansas City.
Mike Webster has been moving and thinking for 16 pro years now, almost as long as Courtney Hall has been alive. If you put it to a vote, he just may get the nod as the most mentally and physically prepared player of his generation, and his excellence has lasted and sustained. How do you account for his longevity when you look at him?
Stupidity. I mean, anyone to play the game this long, you gotta be crazy and stupid and half nuts.
I think in my own mind about myself that the fear of failure is probably the driving force as to what makes you go down there early and work out and work on the weights, do your running, study the film. You want to give yourself every opportunity to be successful. You've heard a number of people say that a lot of people want to win, but how many are willing to really prepare to win?
Mike Webster believes that Courtney Hall does have the stuff that legendary centers are made of. Courtney understands that will to succeed and hopes it is ultimately within himself.
I like to think I work hard, but when I look at him, you know, I don't think I'll ever be able to last as many years as him and be able to put in the time and dedication he has. I'm young, I still have a little playfulness in me, but I mean, it's just amazing to watch him play.
I would love to have his quickness, his athletic ability. Watching him play, he is going to be a brilliant performer for a long period of time.
Do you see any of yourself in him?
Well, I think he's better, I'll tell you that.
This Courtney Hall is a remarkable individual, a gifted student, to put it mildly. He entered high school at the age of 12 juice. He was the starting center for Rice University when he was 16. At 21 now in his rookie year in the NFL, he's the youngest player in the league. The Kansas City-San Diego matchup is one of numerous games on tomorrow's schedule with playoff implications. One of the biggest takes place in Cincinnati, where, as you recall, the fans were reprimanded by their own coach last week after throwing snowballs on the field in the game against Seattle.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati.
I've known Sam for too long to think of Sam as a hero. I've known Sam since he was a player, and he's not my hero.
And why not?
Well, mainly because of what he said about the great fans in Cleveland.
The Cleveland Chamber of Commerce thanks you, Jerry. Meanwhile, another key game in the AFC features the Dolphins in Indianapolis against the Colts. Last week, Marino ran for a touchdown as they beat the Patriots. Tough one coming up, though, at the Hoosier Dome.
We can't walk in flat, and I think that's what we did the last couple of weeks, and definitely people are not going to just sit down. They're going to beat us.
The Chiefs know all about losing to inferior teams. They lost to the Chargers in Week 3. But Kansas City is the AFC's hottest club now with 3 wins and a tie in the last 4 weeks. Last week, they took apart the Packers.
This is still a form of a playoff game for us. We're in a single elimination, and the San Diego Chargers have a lot of weapons.
Speaking of weapons, San Francisco has plenty, and they'll be on display in our big doubleheader game against the Buffalo Bills. The 49ers, in beating the Rams, clinched the NFC West. John Taylor, of course, rolled up big numbers last Monday night. Meanwhile, the Bills had their problems as Jim Kelly threw 3 interceptions in a loss to New Orleans in Buffalo. And pinch hitting now for Al Roker. I'll tell you that the Bills will have to adjust to temperatures near 60 in the Bay Area, outright tropical when compared to game conditions in the Midwest. A high of 7 degrees expected in Kansas City. Temperatures in the teens in Cincinnati, Chicago, and Cleveland. No frostbite problems in Phoenix today, though. We'll send you back to Marv Albert and Bob Trumpy for the second half when we continue after these commercial messages.
Tonight, what do you get the Golden Girls for Christmas?
Dorothy said you'd like something crotchless.
Then Empty Nest gets a humbug surprise.
Follow along your own time. You got doctoring to do.
Then an all-new Bob Hope Christmas with Barbara Eden, the Judds, and a special tribute to John Wayne. Bob Hope's Christmas show from Hawaii after the comedies tonight.
He's ruthless and cunning.
Get him out of my sight.
Daddy! And threatens a town by taking a child hostage.
Where's the little girl? It doesn't work like that.
Now a desperado must save the town, a girl, and the woman he loves.
Does it really matter that much to you?
Someone's got to. An all-new Desperado. Badlands Justice Sunday.
Monday, Keisha Knight Pulliam is a time traveler.
King Arthur's court.
Keisha Knight Pulliam's a powerful wizard.
I'll knock your socks off.
Keisha is a knight of the Round Table. And Keisha is shaking up old Camelot in a magical holiday special for the whole family. A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's court. Monday at 8, 7 Central and Mountain.
Back in Sun Devil Stadium, the Broncos and the Cardinals back on the field. Broncos 20-0 lead at the half, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local.
He ran a lawless empire.
I am the future of this town.
Was he ruthless enough to kill a young girl's parents?
Who did this?
We have offered you $900 to come here and kill him.
But is he pursuing the wrong killer?
Are you going to do it or not?
An all-new Desperado.
Your time has just come to an end.
Badlands Justice Sunday.
This December, things are really heating up. Heating up at every GM division. Each dealer is out to make December hotter than ever before. Like with the luxury of special monthly terms Cadillac style. Special GMAC Smart Lease terms on luxurious Cadillacs let you travel in the passing lane without leaving your comfort zone. Yes, this December is incredibly hot at every GM division. It's GM's Hot December. Come.
Welcome back to the Valley of the Sun. Tempe, Arizona, just outside of Phoenix. Marv Albert, Bob Trumpy checking out the halftime statistics, which are all Denver Broncos.
Yeah, no question about the 2 first downs. They get 58 total yards, 38 passing, and 25 of it came on the 1 pass completion to Novacek, the tight end. So this game has been totally dominated by the Denver Broncos, even with the 2 turnovers.
Denver with a 20-0 lead. A victory would clinch home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. Al Del Greco getting set to kick off for the Cardinals. Certainly a strong candidate for AFC Coach of the Year honors. Dan Reeves.
I don't know if there's even a close second.
Well,
I
Marty
think Schottenheimer is
Don
a candidate.
Shula. Wait a second, Bob. A lot of candidates out there.
Not like what this guy did. Not what he did.
I don't know. I think it's a tough race to call. Second half underway. And Ken Bell on the kickoff return. And a penalty marker down as Bell gets out to the 19-yard line. Ron Wolfley made the stop on Bell. There's Dale Hamer, the referee. And against the Broncos.
Illegal block. Number 55 on the return. Penalized half the distance to the goal. First down.
And that is Rick Dennison called for that illegal block. Well, the Cardinals, in 9 possessions during the first half, forced to punt 7 times.
2 first downs. Very, very inept. Not totally Tim Rosenbaugh's problem, but this offense has not generated a lot of things throughout the season. Very evident today, too.
Denver first down from the 10. Back to the ground for Humphrey, who had a spectacular first half. Carl Carter, the right corner, made the stop. Humphrey now 17 carries, 99 yards. Denver Broncos doing it on a fumble recovery by Carl Mecklenburg. Took it in from 23 yards away. Touchdown pass from Elway to Sewell. And a couple of field goals by Treadwell.
7 offensive possessions there in the first half. Any coach would like to have 7 offensive possessions. You'll score on a few.
Yes, first down at the 20. And Bratton picks up short yardage. Eric Hill, the middle linebacker, made the stop. The Broncos have Keith Karts at center, Jim Juriga, Doug Weidel at the guards, Ken Lanier, and Gerald Perry are at the tackles.
That's one of the reasons why I like Dan Reeves as the coach of the year. The guys you just named, really only Ken Lanier last year had any extensive playing time as a starter. Reeves said, we're going with bigger guys, we're going with younger guys, and we're leaving them in there.
Denver 2nd and 7 at the 23. Humphrey. And he's hammered across the 25 by Harvey. Well, the linebackers have played well. The tandem of Anthony Bell, Eric Hill, Ken Harvey. Harvey with that hard hit on Humphrey.
All relatively young, too. Going to be here for a lot of years. Guys you can certainly build your defense around. They're all 3 big enough that you can make one of them a pass rusher the way Lawrence Taylor is used. One of the strengths of this team, this Phoenix Cardinal team.
3rd down 4 at the 26. Humphrey 102 yards for the day. His 5th 100-yard rushing game. And this is rookie season. Elway with lots of time. Oh, beautiful catch. That's by Michael Young, a one-handed grab. And he went for 29 on the reception.
Great job, too, by Elway reading that pattern. Now, one of the cardinal sins of a receiver is don't break on top of a defensive back. But he does. And Elway puts the perfect touch on it. Watch that right hand. Bring it back. Tuck it in. Outstanding. There's a highlight. That'll be shown a few times.
First catch of the day, 20th of the season for the 5-year man out of UCLA. A Plan B free agent from the LA Rams, Michael Young. And Vance Johnson with his 7th reception. Bumped out by the left corner, Cedric Mack. So the Broncos on the move once again with 3 minutes gone by in this 3rd quarter.
Broncos, even though they're leading 20-0, still staying with their basic game plan. Have not gone to just giving it to Bobby Humphrey on every play. Another quiet, sedate crowd here in Sun Devil Stadium.
Quiet and sedate. How about 2nd down and 4?
I meant to say quiet and sedated.
Oh, sedated?
Yes.
I'm now getting personal with the fans. And a large gathering from Denver, and even they have been on the quiet side. The Broncos jumping to that 20-0 lead. Cardinal players were talking before the game that they were actually looking for more support from the Denver Broncos, but they said they wouldn't mind that at all as long as the crowd shows up. That has not been the case this season. 3rd down and 3, and a nice catch made by Steve Sewell close to the marker. Lonnie Young, the free safety, up to to make the stop.
Real versatile kid. Can be a running back for you. Can also be a wide receiver for you. You see some of the Bronco fans. This is a big vacation spot for those people who live in Colorado. To get away from the feet of snow, they come down here to the Arizona desert. Bronco Mania storms Phoenix. There's a lot of orange shirts. You're right.
First down at the 33-yard line. Elway looking for Young, who came back on a nice hook pattern, but incomplete.
Couldn't get that second foot down.
Elway now 16 for 25, 195 yards.
Good pass protection up front. Elway pumps once and then zips it out there. Watch that second foot. First one in, second one. Ooh, it looks like he drug it a little bit. Wait a minute, they may take another look at that. I'm not so sure that they're going to call that so quickly. No, they're not going to review it. That looked like a nice catch.
Well, this is the 9th play of the drive. It's a second down and 10 at the 33. Now Young, 83, in motion. Elway off the roll. There's a nice throw by Elway. Did well to get it off. Michael Young.
Boy, look at Elway. He's already back, all the way back by the Phoenix bench. Looked like Hill gave him a little shove out of bounds. Is it Hill? It's not the man running behind him. It's Freddie Joe Nunn, 78, who gives him a bump out of bounds. And Young makes the nice catch inbounds right at the first down marker for the first down.
And the ball spotted at the 22-yard line. Mel Bratton with a penalty marker down. Freddie Joe Nunn on the stop.
Holding offense. I'm going to pray here it's not Gerald Perry. Anybody else in the offensive line, not Gerald Perry.
Holding, number 67 in the offense, 10-yard penalty.
All right, 67 is Doug Wydell, the rookie from Boston College.
He is the right guard. He's working on the defensive tackle head. Hard to tell in there with all those big bodies exactly where the holding comes from, but the umpire throws the flag. That's one of the things that's hurt Denver throughout the season, the holding calls in big games and important drives.
First down and 20 at the 32. Acceleration by Humphrey who broke the tackle. Getting inside the 20. Cedric Mack on the stop on the beautiful run by Bobby Humphrey.
He breaks the tackle of an excellent tackler, too. Lonnie Young is the free safety for the Phoenix Cardinals, and watch this. Boom, takes him on, stops dead, spins. Lonnie Young is a very, very good tackler. Finally, Galloway slows him down a little bit. Cedric Mack, 47, along with Ken Harvey, 56, get him on the ground. But that is a nice 15-yard pickup, and now 117 yards for Humphrey. And he's got a ways to go, too. He's going to get a lot more before this game is over.
Second down and 5 at the 17. On the delay, and he's going to throw off the option. Touchdown! Humphrey to Bratton on the option pass.
17 yards
for a 17-yard score.
He's thrown it once before. That's the first time he's completed it.
So two rookies hooking up. Bobby Humphrey out of Alabama. Mel Bratton, who was a gamble as a 7th-round draft pick. The Broncos gambling that he'd make it back from a severe knee injury.
Tim McDonald, 46, is the man in coverage. It almost looks like Mel Bratton used his hand to give him some distance against Tim McDonald, but it goes as a score. Nice play. Put it in the films.
Treadwell puts it through. So Denver with 8:46 to go in the third quarter, leading Phoenix 27-0.
Astronomers tell us there won't be a total eclipse in America until the year 2017. They are very much mistaken. This is the year of the eclipse. Introducing the Eclipse by Mitsubishi. Try not to stare.
So, did you break him, Raj? Break him? I own him. That horse and I are one. We achieved a special kind of oneness. Man and beast. Speaking the same language.
What's that mean? Means they'll be talking again tomorrow.
Every year, it gets harder to keep the guys' hands off their gifts. That's because I always give them good-looking isotoner gloves. So I'm hiding them in my locker. Now they won't be grabbing these comfortable, great-fitting gloves. So take care of the hands that take care of you. But take care where you put the isotoner gloves. And now, Isotoner fans, there's a present for your feet. Isotoner's introducing slippers and socks for men. Catch them at fine stores everywhere.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name. By Black & Decker, quality tools that go at the top of everyone's gift list. And by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. See them all at your Mitsubishi Motors dealer.
Bobby Humphrey, who moments ago threw his first touchdown pass in the NFL on the option, connecting with Mel Bratton. Treadwell bouncing one to Sikahema. Looks to put some speed on, gets out across the 30-yard line.
Back to the touchdown. When you've got a running back who runs for 117 yards on the day, then you got the fullback that comes up through here. Tim McDonald is the man that drops coverage. Humphrey goes out here. It's not that pretty, but he does throw it very well. And watch Bratton at the end of the play. Watch his right arm. It kind of pushes McDonald off a little bit to make the catch. They don't catch him. It counts.
11 plays, 90 yards. A drive that went over 6 minutes. And Denver with a 27-0 lead. Hogaboom, who came on for the rookie Rosenbaum, able to complete to Roy Green. Darren Carrington on the stop, and a first down for the Cardinals. Darren Carrington, a year ago, worked as a food server at the Cardinals training camp on the campus of Northern Arizona University, a rookie out of Northern Arizona. He said they didn't treat him too badly, although they asked him to sing and he refused. All right, here is Hogaboom completing to Jordan. Now Mecklenburg on the tackle.
Well, it's now to the point almost where Phoenix is trying to save some self-respect here, some pride. They allow the Denver Broncos to go right down the field for 90 yards and score. First time they have the ball in the third quarter. Got to go with the dump-off stuff. Mecklenburg with the tackle. You can't leave as bad a taste as this in the mouth of your fans about your offense. They're sitting there wondering what's going to happen next.
Second down and 3 from midfield. Farrell, the man in motion. This is Jordan. And he stopped short of the first down by Mark Munford. Tony Jordan, a second-year player out of Kansas State, getting the starting assignment today. The Cardinal running game has been invisible. Jordan, a guy's size and speed, but does not appear to have the quick cutting ability. And of course, the play of the Cardinal offensive line has not helped. Many injuries, a host of shuffling. Right now they go with Sharp, Sandowski, Kennard, Smith, and Wolf. Tootie Robbins, the latest injury. Right tackle sideline today. Third down and 2 at the 49. Hogaboom in trouble. Gets it away. Incomplete through the hands. A little too high for Roy Green.
Again, good pressure by the Denver defense. Mecklenburg coming from one side. Cragen, Holmes, all there right in Hogaboom's face. Got him to flush out of the pocket. There's Wade Phillips, the defensive coordinator. This defense came in as the best scoring defense in the NFL. And pressure up front is a big factor. You see Mecklenburg, Bragan, 71. They're all around Hogeboom. He had no time to really sit down and look for a quarterback, for an open receiver.
Well, Rich Camarillo will punt for the 8th time. And Bob, for those of you who were wondering, the NFL record most punts. Oh, no, he will not punt. He's going to throw. He completes. Penalty marker is down. Ron Wolfley on the reception. It is short of the first down, but a flag is thrown. So Camarillo throwing on the fake punt. The penalty is against the Cardinals.
Illegal man downfield. Nice idea, but it didn't come close to working.
Mr. Stats, our crack statistician Elliot Cow providing us with this
An
information.
eligible receiver downfield, number 53, hitting offense. The penalties declined. First down.
The most punts in an NFL game, 15. John Telchik of the Eagles against the Giants in an overtime affair back in 1967.
He may have a blister on his foot, so they throw. From all the punts.
Oh, that is just awful.
Just a theory. Just a theory.
We'll be right back.
The world thirsts for a car that is economical, yet fully equipped, basic, yet polished, practical, yet inspiring. Some may think such a car is only a mirage. It is. The award-winning Mitsubishi Mirage. Buy the special edition Mirage EXE and get air conditioning and AM/FM stereo cassette at no extra charge. Save over $1,000.
My brother Tom used to flip me out. Every time I'd be watching a TV show I liked, he'd start flipping through the channels. Then we got this amazing Magnavox TV with a built-in smart window. Smart window. That lets Tommy flip through all the channels while I keep watching what I want to watch.
Now I can see what I've been missing.
And that's quite a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Magnavox. Smart choice. Very smart.
The Black & Decker Workmate. About all it can't help you do is clean up. But at least it gets out of your way. The Black & Decker Workmate.
One airline works harder than any other to make sure that a good landing not only means getting you there on time, but landing your bag in your hand on time as well. United. Come fly the friendly skies.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are cordially invited to a glorious Yuletide celebration. Starring Olivia Newton-John, Vic Damone, Diane Carroll, James Galway, and many more. Join the First family for their first Christmas in Washington, Monday.
Well, a moment ago, before we mercifully went to commercial, Bob going to the B material regarding punter Rich Camarillo. It is a first out at midfield as Denver takes over. Humphrey trying to stiff arm his way. 6:19 remaining in the third quarter. Marv Albert with Bob Trumpy from Tempe, Arizona, Sun Devil Stadium, with the Denver Broncos leading the Phoenix Cardinals by the score of 27-0.
Marv, I think at this point, Dan Reeves' major concern, along with the rest of the Denver Broncos, is making sure that someone does not get hurt and get hurt to the point where it cost him a few weeks in the playoffs. That's Joe Wolf, the offensive tackle. Excuse me, Jim Waller, who the defensive tackle who was hurt, limping off there with a bad knee. The Cardinals have used 9 different defensive lines in 14 weeks of play this year, but both these teams now must be very concerned about the injuries that might take place for the rest of the game.
Jim Waller, a man who has had knee problems in the past. He has made his return from a knee injury, a start of the past 5 games, 4th round draft pick out of UCLA, so he heads to the sideline. Broncos 2nd down 7 at the 47. Now Vance Johnson splits to the left. Mark Jackson to the right. Elway for Humphrey.
Well, this kid's a player, Marv. I'm telling you, this kid is a real player. think it's interesting that in the NFL this year, clearly the best offensive player in the NFC is Barry Sanders of the Detroit Lions, and here Humphrey for the Denver Broncos. Nice pull by Doug Weidel, but well, Humphrey can do so many things. He gets yards when they're not there. An excellent pass receiver. He can throw for touchdowns. What a pick.
3rd down and 1 at the 41. Humphrey was a question mark coming off that broken foot injury. Here's Humphrey picking up the first down.
He was hurt.
Young, the free safety, made the stop.
Excuse me. He was hurt early with the busted ribs, but I think he has made a point to the people in Denver that I'm not injury prone, and that was his label coming out of the University of Alabama.
Talking about it with Dan Reeves last night, he said he was so impressed the way Humphrey readjusted his running style after he hurt his ribs.
Yeah. It's got that forward body lean. And of course, this is something that since Otis Armstrong, the Broncos really haven't had a guy to give the ball to a great deal.
And Humphrey has been getting the ball a great deal and handling it very well, getting inside the 35-yard line. Gary Hadd and Eric Hill combined to make the tackle.
At some point, you've got to say, look, we've got this game firmly in hand. We don't want anybody injured. Let's get him out of there. And it's tough because Dan Reeves said last night, you know, you want to keep your edge on the team. We've lost 2 straight. And here today, he has a career high in yards. Congratulations to Bobby Humphrey. And he also goes over the 1,000-yard mark in the first half.
A couple of weeks ago against the Raiders, 125 yards. So he has surpassed that. Sammy Winder, who just checked in, stopped by David Galloway. Well, on the subject of outstanding rookies around the AFC, Bobby Humphrey certainly will be vying along with Eric Metcalf, another triple threat man for the Cleveland Browns. Defensively, Steve Atwater, Eric Thomas, Louis Oliver, Carnell Lake have been outstanding.
Those defensive choices, that's a tough choice. Thomas is excellent. So is Oliver. Lake, I think, is a guy that a lot of people don't know about. He was a linebacker in college, but I think clearly Humphrey's the choice offensively in the AFC. 3rd
down, 6 at the 35. A lot of movement, and we see the flags being thrown as Elway fires a bullet. Oh, nice catch made by Mark Jackson, covered by Jay Taylor. But let's see what these penalties are about.
I think that's going to be on the defense. Elway going with the hard count here.
Offside. Number 78 of the defense. The penalties declined. First down.
That's Freddie Joe Nunn. Elway said he'd start the game in the first quarter, first half. He gets him in a rhythm, calls everything on 1. And late in the game, when he needs something, he'll extend the snap count to 2 or 3. And you got defensive linemen back there with the running backs. It worked that time, but he also gets the completion for the first down.
And he said he thinks the Cardinals would be vulnerable to jumping the gun. He's been so effective at that. Here's Elway on the roll, and he completes. Clarence Kay for a touchdown. So Clarence Kay playing a major role today. Following the expression of unhappiness, Clarence Kay with his 3rd catch of the afternoon. And Kay with a 2nd touchdown of the season. So Denver now with a 33-0 pounding over the Phoenix Cardinals. Clarence Kay, one of the NFL's best blocking tight ends. But the last 2 weeks, 3 catches apiece.
Here's Clarence Kay right here. He fakes the down block, and as Elway rolls out, he really has another primary receiver, but I think he eventually goes to Kay. Watch him. See, he's faking there, everybody's clearing out. And Elway finally finds him, and then the turn back in gets underneath the tacklers. Clarence Kay at about 255 runs over people for the score. 2nd touchdown reception of the season.
After further review, the play stands. Touchdown.
I think they were looking at whether or not his knee was down before he got to the goal line, but they're going to give him the score.
And Clarence Kay very happy about the day he has had in his 5th season out of the University of Georgia. Here is Treadwell putting through the uprights and get 34-0 Denver. 3:40 to go in the third. We'll be right back.
And all of a sudden, I was just thrown to the ground. It's like my eyes were seeing, but my mind couldn't comprehend what was happening.
Just about everything we own in the world was broken.
As a neighbor went past, she said, "I'm sorry, but your house fell down the hill."
On October 17th, an earthquake took Northern California by surprise. The next day, so did Allstate.
They actually drove up here in the middle of the night.
And they land in Los Gatos, California, and within 6 hours, they're at my door. Our Allstate agent told us, "You find a place to stay. If you can't, we'll find one for you."
They're inventorying our house and what's in it. They're hauling it away for us. They're storing it for us.
We went through the house, and in a matter of hours, we had a check in our hands.
And to see a check right away is amazing.
They are handling it for us, and in a caring manner.
I expected bean pushers, and I got sensitive people instead.
You find out how good your insurance company is when there's a disaster.
The writers of Motor Trend magazine road tested a lot of cars before the Mitsubishi Galant. They road tested a lot of cars after it. But no other car was so well conceived, so well crafted, so thoroughly satisfying to drive. And that is why they marked the occasion in the most significant way they could. They named the Mitsubishi Galant Motor Trend Import Car of the Year.
49er owner Eddie DeBartolo has 3 Super Bowl trophies. Join me, O.J. Simpson, to find out what makes him the best owner in the league Sunday on NFL Live.
Well, it has reached the wipeout stage, 34-0. Broncos over the Cardinals. Do you pull John Elway, who has problems with the ribs? Why leave him in at this point?
Yeah, I think you almost have to, and I think in the last series you saw Bobby Humphrey leave the game and Sammy Winder come in. Yeah, you do have to protect these guys now for the playoffs.
And the kickoff return by Tony Baker. Elway, incidentally, 20 for 29. 247 yards, and look at the total yard number, 394 to 77. Elway's thrown for 2 touchdowns, intercepted twice. There is the backup quarterback who's done a nice job over the years. Gary Kubiak, solid backup, and apparently that point we brought up is on the mind of Dan Reeves, because we'll probably see Kubiak the next series.
He won an important game for this team when Elway was sick in Washington. Elway had food poisoning. He did a great job. This kid's a very valuable player.
Sukahema on the screen. And that has contained Rick Dennison, the inside linebacker, making the stop. Gary Kubiak has played an important role over his 7-year career. He's started 5 times. The one start you mentioned, subbing for Elway in that victory over the Washington Redskins. Hogaboom, incomplete. Intended for Roy Green.
Looks like the Cardinals are going to try to attempt some hurry-up offense here. They didn't. They went right back to the line of scrimmage there.
And now they are looking at a 3rd down and 6. The interim head coach for the Cardinals, Hank Kuhlman, who is looking at an 0-4 slate with the finale next week against the Philadelphia Eagles. Kuhlman taking over for Gene Stallings. 3 minutes to go in this 3rd quarter. Penalty marker is tossed. Intended for Roy Green, incomplete.
Well, when you get in the habit of losing, everybody looks bad, don't they? Roy Green, one of the game's great receivers, as we hear the call.
Offside, number 73 of the defense, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, repeat 3rd down.
That's Simon Fletcher. Jetstream Green, over the last 6 years, has averaged 59 catches and 970 yards, along with 8 touchdowns. And when you lose, you just feel old, you run old, everything hurts more, it hurts longer. These guys cannot wait for this season to end so they can get a fresh start.
And Roy has made it back from a fractured collarbone. 3rd down play. And it is the tight end Robert Awalt on the reception. So a rare 1st down for the Phoenix Cardinals.
Yeah. The fans respond. They like a 1st down. There hasn't been a lot in Sun Devil Stadium that these fans have liked, including the price of the tickets, the temperature on that side of the stadium. Sometimes it gets up to 130 degrees over there watching a game early in the season. So,
well, there's a positive point, Bob. Oh, penalty marker down, a hard hit on Darrell Usher from Kip Corrington, and another flag is thrown.
Holding defense, that may be Darren Carrington, who is the man underneath.
Holding, number 29 in the defense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Kip Corrington was the man back there in coverage, but Darren Carrington, 29, up front was the guy who got his hand on the receiver and held him up.
First and 10. First and 10.
Yeah, there is Carrington, the 5th-round pick from the University of Northern Arizona. So a first down at the 49-yard line. And Hogaboom has a deflected. Penalty marker is back behind the line of scrimmage. The pass intended for Darrell Usher. Tyrone Braxton, number 34.
Holding offense. I'm going to ask Mr. Stats here, Elliot Kalb. I don't remember if the Phoenix Cardinals have in fact been across the 50-yard line more than once today. I think Novacek's catch.
Holding, number 45 of the offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
And on Mike's statistical request by Bob.
He'll get it.
Putting the pressure on Mr. Stats.
He'll get it.
But unbelievable.
I think Novacek had one catch across the 50, and I don't remember them going across the 50-yard line again. Watch the penalty once again. It's the running back holding on to Michael Brooks, the linebacker.
Elliott said give him 20, 25 minutes. He'll have it for you, Bob.
No. He's got it. He's got it.
Off the 1st and 20, Green on the reception.
And they are across the 50. Elliott got it. That's the first time they've been across the 50-yard line today, the Phoenix Cardinals. Nice, huh?
Thank you very much, Bob.
Thank you, Elliott.
All right, tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern Time. Join us for NFL Live. Bob Costas bringing you up to date on the late breaking news from around the league. And OJ will visit with 49ers owner Eddie DeBartolo Jr., who many consider the finest owner in the game today. As we come up on 2 minutes remaining in this third quarter. Denver 34 and Phoenix nothing. It is a 3rd down and 4 as the Cardinals go into the hurry up. Hogaboom couldn't find anyone. And now goes incomplete, intended for Sekahema.
There's certainly been nothing for anybody on the team, in the city, in the stands, if you're a Phoenix Cardinal fan, to cheer about today. Very, very little on the positive side for the Phoenix Cardinals.
This a game that saw the rookie from Washington State, Tim Rosenball, get the starting nod. He was lifted early in the second quarter. He was 2 for 8. 14 yards, and Gary Hogaboom came on. There's Rosenbaum. It's a 4th down and 3, and Hogaboom going for it, has it with Sekahema. So he has the first down. Sekahema stopped by the free safety Steve Atwater. That's a 14-yard pickup.
Well, so far their deepest penetration against the Denver Broncos, and again the Cardinals go right back to the line of scrimmage for offense. No huddle.
First down at the 31. Hogaboom got the time, but threw it off the mark, intended for Jay Novacek. It'll be a 2nd and 10 at the 31. Cardinals averaging only 41,000 in attendance. This the biggest crowd of the season, although we have not received the official total. And foremost on the minds of the Phoenix Cardinals, the hunt for the new head coach. And General Manager Larry Wilson says he wants that in place by January. Among the leading candidates, you've been reading about Steve Spurrier, who has been offered the job by the University of Florida. Hogaboom almost picked off. Wyman Henderson had a crack at it. The pass intended for Roy Green. Spurrier has told the Cardinals that he will discuss the situation with them before reaching a decision. He may come to Phoenix within the next few days. He's been here. He's already discussed it with Larry Wilson. And Duke University has also offered a renegotiated contract. Atlanta also reportedly interested in Spurrier, and he says he'll decide after Duke plays Texas Tech in the All-American Bowl at the end of December. People wondering if Hank Pullman, the interim coach, is on the list of general manager Larry Wilson. It does not seem that that is likely. Oh, Hogaboom lost it.
Fletcher took it right out of his hand, Marv. Simon Fletcher took it right out of his hand. Wade Phillips, the defensive coordinator, comes in with the defense that led the NFL in scoring, leading 34-0. Nice play. Hogaboom takes that ball back, and when his arm goes forward, there is no football, and Simon Fletcher is on it.
Timeout is taken. We'll be back in a moment.
Life's full of simple pleasures, like the comfort of Levi's jeans. Or had you forgotten?
Hello? Joan, where are you? Almost there.
Give your family on-the-road safety and convenience with a Radio Shack mobile phone. Now just $399. You save $300.
Well, a built-in speaker lets me hear and talk to you and keep my hands on the wheel. That's great. I'll call you back. My car's stalling.
A 30-number memory gives you instant auto dial, and you'll feel more secure knowing help is just a phone call away. Radio Shack's mobile phone. Easy to install and only $399 at Radio Shack, the technology store.
It began as a game. It turned into a battle. And now, it's out of control. Bud Bowl 2, coming January 28th. This time, it's war.
NBC Sports serves your need to know all week long. Dial 1-900-454-3500 for NBC Scores Plus. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anywhere in the USA.
Watch this play by Simon Fletcher once again on the outside on Joe Wolf. Knocks it right out of Hogaboom's hand. And it's recovered by the Denver Broncos. It's underneath Fletcher. I don't know who got the recovery, but Denver ball.
Third turnover for the Phoenix Cardinals. Jeff Alexander with the carry, stopped by Gary Had. So Alexander handling it for the first time as Gary Kubiak has come on, replacing John Elway. There's Kubiak in his 7th season out of Texas A&M. He has been an excellent backup, a touch passer, has a quick release. Good feel for the Denver offense. And for John Elway, a very fine afternoon. 20 for 29, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, threw for 247 yards. Second down and 6. Sammy Winder. Dan Reeves has done some shuffling. His Winder and Alexander in there, replacing the starters Humphrey and Brett.
Have you ever heard anybody compliment a player more than Sammy Winder? And Dan Reeves last night was telling us, as you look at the last 5 possessions by the Denver Broncos, been rather productive. I was impressed with his comment about Sammy Winder. Has not complained about Bobby Humphrey's playing time. Not one bit. I think he realized the talent of the kid. Let him give him the ball.
When we come to the end of the third quarter with the Broncos leading the Cardinals 34-0.
Well, what'd he say?
He said, Kirkwood, you're smart, you're aggressive, you're
brilliant, creative, aggressive, brilliant.
He said all that, did he?
Well, something to that effect.
Come on, what else?
Stock, sign-on bonus, company car. Of course, I'm gonna turn it down.
The job?
The car.
The Legend sedan from Acura. #1 in customer satisfaction. 3 years in a row.
The Black & Decker Air Station. It has all the pressure you need to inflate anything. Fast. The Black & Decker Air Station. Always at your service.
Matthew, did you lose your razor? I can't get around my Adam's apple. You can't get around half your face.
Introducing the Slim Twin Razor System with the slimmest cartridge to reach every place on every face.
How do I look? Ugly.
New Slim Twin from Schick.
New Year's Day, come home to the best in college football. Kick off your day with the Hall of Fame Bowl. The Southeast Conference co-champion Auburn Tigers, the Giant Killers, battle the high-scoring Buckeyes of Ohio State. New Year's Day, the best bowls are on NBC Sports.
A reminder, next Saturday on NBC Sports World, a holiday celebration. It'll be Dorothy Hamill in the Nutcracker on Ice. And by golly, the year-end Albert Achievement Award. Bob, look back at the decade of the Wild and the Wacky, and 89, and David Letterman makes a cameo appearance. That'll be next Saturday, getting underway at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.
Nice to see Al has work. No, that's your Achievement Awards.
You've been rehearsing that for days.
No.
It is a 3rd and 1 at the 49. Sammy Winder gets the call. Could have been Steve also.
Yes, it could. Or a family affair.
Jim McDonald making the stop as Winder goes for the first down. Crowd filing out here as we open up in the 4th quarter. It is a season high in attendance, 56,071. As you see, season ticket sales have dipped from 88 to 89.
Yeah, that's at an average ticket price in Sun Devil Stadium of $35 a ticket.
That's a fine seat.
That one is not 35.
Yes. First down at midfield. Marv Albert, Bob Trumpy from Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe. Well, the cut made by Winder, Anthony Bell, able to trip him up. Sammy Winder, an 8-year man out of Southern Mississippi. He's accounted for over 5,000 yards on the ground. Second leading rusher in Bronco history behind Floyd Little. It's a spectacular setting here between the mountains in Tempe, Arizona, just southeast of Phoenix.
You know, you're just talking about the price of the tickets here for Phoenix games. I would be willing to bet that that price is going to be substantially reduced next year, because Phoenix, very difficult to win fans to begin with, almost impossible to win them back. And that's what Phoenix has to do. They're not happy with the team, and they're not happy with how much it costs to come and watch this team. Major changes have to happen for this franchise to really succeed down here.
Vance Johnson on that reception. Well, tomorrow, big day of football on NBC. It starts with Bob and OJ in the studio, along with the Insiders. A double dose of the Insiders this weekend. 12:30 Eastern Time as you check out the lineup. 3rd down and 3 at the 42. A minute and a half gone by in this 4th quarter, and the Broncos in front of the Cardinals, 34-0. Kubiak again going to Johnson. Hit down by Cedric Mack.
He caught it, but he is very, very close.
9 catches, 51 yards for Johnson. One of the spirit of this holiday season, we asked Denver head coach Dan Reeves what he would like for Christmas, and here's Dan's Christmas wish list.
Number 3, of course, was without asking his wife.
Yeah, in what order, I wonder, are these requests being made?
Well, he's got the home field playoff advantage and a 5-game win streak as a Super Bowl championship. And then we'll have to talk to his wife about the 1 month on the deserted island.
It is a first down at the Phoenix 39. And Winder again getting the call. Harvey and Hill combined on the stop. We also asked the same question of interim head coach Hank Kuhlman, and he came up with only one Christmas wish, a modest one, but it appears that his last chance will be next Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, that's Christmas.
Yes.
So that's his last chance, is a touchdown Tupa. Everybody has their own individual list here.
Tom Tupa, the second-year man from Ohio State, a backup quarterback for the Phoenix Cardinals. 2nd down and 8. And the completion to Steve Sewell, who was met by Michael Zordich.
Well, Marlon, I find it remarkable that this is the 15th game of the season today, and 2 teams played today, or there were 2 games today, and there are only 3 teams guaranteed a position in the playoffs. San Francisco, Denver, and the Giants won that opportunity this afternoon in Giant Stadium. 3 teams out of 28, and only 3 are a cinch for the playoffs.
With the Giants defeating Dallas earlier today, they clinched at least the wild card in the playoffs. 3rd down and 4, and now the Broncos pick up the 1st down on the completion to Mark Jackson, hit by Cedric Mack and Michael Zordich. So Denver continuing the drive with 11 minutes remaining in this 4th quarter, and the Broncos now have a 1st down at the 23. They lead by the score of 34-0. 2 field goals for Treadwell from 38, 33. 2 touchdown passes thrown by Elway. A touchdown on the halfback option thrown by Humphrey. And Mecklenburg on a recovery of a fumble and ran it in for 23 yards for the 34 points. Broncos 1st down at the 23. Here's Winder. And a short pickup for Sammy Winder. Well, a moment ago we were talking about the playoff picture with a lot of teams alive as we are in the next to last weekend of the regular season. These are clubs that control their own destiny. 10 AFC clubs are still alive for the wild card. The Giants clinching the wild card today. They could win the NFC East with another victory and a Philadelphia loss. Get back to that in a moment. 2nd down and 7 at the 20. Going to the outside is Alexander, and he's hit down by Freddie Joe Nunn. Now these are clubs that need help. They cannot do it by themselves, and this is where it gets very complicated.
Yeah, I have no idea all of the various ways that this can be worked out, but tomorrow a lot of it will be settled. But still, 3 of 28 are in the playoffs. That we know for sure. Only 8 are out.
San Francisco, Denver, and the Giants are in. 3rd down 4 at the 17. And off the draw, Winder was stopped. Harvey Hand combining on the tackle.
Now for the Broncos, this game started out very, very slowly. They had 3 downs and out twice, and then the big play that kind of started the turnaround for Denver was really courtesy of Tim Rosenbaugh and the center, Derek Kennard, for the Phoenix Cardinals. A missed snap, and Mecklenburg runs it in, and all of a sudden 34 unanswered points.
And Treadwell will attempt from 35 yards away now. It's a 4th down and 5 from the 18. He's connected earlier from 33, from 38, but first a timeout has been taken. So the Broncos call for time with 8:23 left in the 4th quarter.
Tonight, Bob Hope's Christmas in Hawaii.
You'll find me neatly gift-wrapped under the tree.
With Barbara Eaton, the judge, and a special tribute to John Wayne. Bob Hope's Christmas from Hawaii.
This graph shows that your car can drive better with Texaco's System 3 gasoline. In the BMW test, ordinary gasoline built up valve deposits, but System 3 actually took them away. Tank after tank, valves got cleaner and cleaner. As for performance, after 5 tanks, it gets even better.
For a bear of a thirst, I reach for it first.
I can drink a lot more,
and it settles the score.
4 fingers, number 7, the taste is pure heaven. It's the drink of the moon.
It's playing altitude.
It moves Louis' lips. It shakes Eric's hips. So look out, Pepsi, the move is on.
Now we're singing the Diet Coke song.
Diet Coke has real cola taste in just 1 calorie. So in Denver,
it busts the Broncos' thirst. Diet Coke.
Don't be fooled by lookalikes. There are 2 compact camcorder formats. The one on the left may look like this Panasonic VHS camcorder, small and lightweight.
But that's where the similarity ends. Panasonic camcorder tapes can play in the 60 million VHS recorders out there. That's something the other guys can't do.
So, if anyone tells you all compact camcorders are alike,
don't let them kid you.
Panasonic, just slightly ahead of our time.
CU Orange Bowl update, starting Wednesday at 10:35.
It is rest time for the rookie out of Alabama, Bobby Humphrey, who had a spectacular day here at Sun Devil Stadium, 128 yards on the ground. He threw a touchdown pass, instrumental in this big lead by the Denver Broncos. David Treadwell looking to add to it. 35-yard attempt. And make it 3 for 3 for Treadwell. So the Broncos extend the lead. It is 37-0 Denver over Phoenix.
I say, put on some steaks and get the Queen a Bud Light.
Bud Light's clean, fresh taste won't fill you up, never lets you down.
Henry, they're Pop-Tops.
Everything else is just a light.
I couldn't imagine owning anything but a pickup. And from what I know about hauling stuff, I couldn't imagine owning anything but a big Ford. You see, this Ford's got a longer, deeper box that can handle a bigger payload than any Chevy its size.
The big Ford pickup. #1 for all the right reasons.
Maybe that's why more folks drive Fords than any other truck.
The best-built American trucks are built Ford tough.
Stuffing? Mr. Scrooge loves the new stuffing in the 5-piece holiday meal deal from Kentucky Fried Chicken. Stuffing. With 5 pieces of the Colonel's chicken and 2 buttermilk biscuits, all for only $4.99. Perfect for the 2 of us. Heavens, it's the Cratchits!
Hide the stuffing. We brought the 10-piece holiday meal.
With 4 biscuits
and more stuffing. Just $9.99.
I like the way you think, Cratchit.
Get the 5 or 10-piece holiday meal deal at Kentucky Fried Chicken.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By the U.S. Army. Learn how to get an edge on life. Be all you can be. And by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light.
The kickoff by David Treadwell. A short kick played by Darrell Usher. Gets out to the 25-yard line. The Broncos with a 37-0 lead on the Cardinals. So the Cardinals back to the offense. A reminder tonight, right here on NBC, Bob Hope introduces the 1989 AP All-America College Football Team. Headlining the roster, Heisman Trophy winner Andre Ware out of Houston. In fact, you'll see many of these players starring in the NFL in the near future. Anthony Thompson of Indiana, Emmitt Smith of Florida.
The Rockets from Notre Dame, Ishmael.
How about Keith McCants out of Alabama?
Some thought that he might be available for the draft this year.
So join Bob and his guest, Barbara Eden, and the judge. That's tonight on the Bob Hope Christmas Special. Tonight right here on NBC. First down at the 26. Hogaboom completing across the 30 to the tight end Robert Awalt, who was hit by Mark Mumford.
Phoenix again going right to the line of scrimmage with 7:50 and counting to go in the game. Try to do something they haven't done all day, and that's get it close to the goal line.
And again, it's Awalt on the reception. for the first down, and Mumford on the stop. Mark Mumford, a 3-year man out of Nebraska.
And finally, Phoenix goes back into the huddle.
So the clock running down, 7:20 remaining in this fourth quarter. All Denver, 37-0 over the Cardinals.
Fletcher on the sack.
Yes, and that is his 11th sack of the season. We mentioned tonight on NBC on the Bob Hope special, the 1989 AP All-America team will be introduced. Here are some of the fellows you see from the defensive point of view. Second down and 16, and it gets worse and worse for Gary Hogaboam.
That time,
and the Cardinals, the nose tackle, Greg Cragen, with his second sack of the season.
4 sacks on the day. Here's more of the defensive players you'll see tonight.
It's on the Bob Hope Christmas special tonight on NBC. It is a third down and 20 at the 27. Phoenix Cardinals on their way to their 5th consecutive loss and a record of 5-10. Look at 3 consecutive sacks. What a series for the Broncos. This time, Tim Lucas. And that is his second sack of the season.
And he ran right over by Sikahema. I mean, right over by Sikahema.
Make it 5 sacks on the day for the Broncos.
Again, Wade Phillips got to like it from the right. Watch. Boom. He absolutely runs over Sikahema.
And here is Rich Camarillo for his 8th punt of the day. So it's his first in the second half. And the fair catch called for by Vance Johnson. A 33-yard punt. Denver certainly enjoying themselves. They get it back with just under 6 minutes left in the game.
If you stripped Ford Taurus of all its awards, erased all the glowing reviews, removed all evidence of its presence on the road, and introduced it today, Ford Taurus would still be ahead of its time.
Now get 4.8 financing for up to 48 months or cash bonus on Ford Taurus.
Some people see shaving as something you do for 3 minutes a day. At Braun, we see it as something you do for a lifetime. And we think you should make the best of it. The Braun Shaver, with its 3 shaving positions. Designed for those who choose to make a virtue out of necessity. Braun, the world's #1 selling foil shaver.
It's 32 degrees. And Jan Trumpeter is learning all about her antifreeze. The hard way.
Why is this happening to me?
Don't push your luck. Guarantee it with Advanced Formula Prestone.
Happy holidays from all of us at Angel Soft and Georgia Pacific.
Well, the rookie quarterback, Tim Rosenbaugh, warming up on the sideline, and apparently he will be reinserted at the start of the game. 2 for 8, only 14 yards, then pulled in favor of Gary Hogaboam.
This is almost cruel. They tell him yesterday morning he's going to start. He's all pumped up. He goes in, he's 2 for 8 for 14 yards. And Tom Tupa, his dance card was not filled today. He's a wallflower.
First by Sammy Winder for a Denver first down. Gary had Michael Zordich on the stop. So Denver with a 37-0 lead, and they continue to drive. And there is the phantom of the Broncos. Yes, a very confused young man, Bob. Well, he's seen his Denver Broncos turn it around from the disappointing 8-8 season last year. That road record should also reflect 0-3 in Super Bowl competition on neutral grounds. Jeff Alexander stopped by Ken Harvey, but the Denver Broncos, with the victory here today, will clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs, which is so significant.
Oh, yeah, especially for a place like Mile High Stadium. A tremendous home field crowd. That place just rocks when Denver begins to get things going. And then your opponent always has to face the possibility of bad weather. Lots of snow. You don't know what's going to happen up there in Denver in January. So as long as Denver keeps winning in the playoffs, their next road game may be New Orleans.
Well, although the Giants handled that snow last week in the 14-7 victory over the Broncos. Sammy Winder stopped by Gary Head. Broncos coming into today had lost 2 straight, lost to the Raiders, lost to the Giants, but you can certainly go with the theory that the game was so important for the Raiders and the Giants. As for Denver, they certainly don't want to relax, but they could in that situation.
Yeah, Wade Phillips, so you're looking at Dan Reeves, but Wade Phillips said last night his dad was in Denver to watch the game last week. And he kept telling him before the game, he said, you know, son, you only need to win one of these last 3 for the home field advantage. And Wade said, yeah, I know, Dad. And but Wade said, but Bum said, wait a minute, you know how difficult it is to win that one? Well, they got it done today, and they got it done in grand fashion.
It is a 3rd down and 6 at the 36. Winder on a sweep.
Wydell in front of him.
And he has the first down. Cedric Mack forced him out of bounds, so Sammy Winder running well.
The Denver Broncos have absolutely controlled the line of scrimmage. Their idea, obviously, run to the outside of this defense. And Wydell has pulled a great deal. You see the blocks down. Excellent lead block by Alexander 40. And that really gets the linebacker down on the ground. And then actually Winder picks up 11 yards and doesn't even use Wydell's block.
Sammy Winder, 35 yards, 10 carries. Coming on for Bobby Humphrey.
As a team, Denver 42 rushes, 187 yards.
And it's Winder again able to make the turn and has another first down. Carl Wilson cut him off. Last year when the Broncos were 8-8, they just could not establish the running game. Tony Dorsett was the key man in that situation. But this season with the rookie Bobby Humphrey, with the play selection changed somewhat. Here's Denver on its way to a record of 11 up and 4 down, and you can see the rushing stats here today.
Yeah, that's another reason why I choose Dan Reeves as the coach of the year. Changed almost the entire philosophy of the team. Run, stop the run. Inserted 4 new guys on the offensive line. Changed defensive staff and emphasis. And they're 11 and 4.
2nd down and 1. Alexander not able to pick up the first down. Reeves reflecting on last year, discussing it with us last night. In fact, they won 8-8. He said, I don't think we were a bad team, but said we didn't really play hard all the time. He said the telling point last year, the Broncos were blown out 4 times. This season, he loves the consistency of this ball club and likes the fact that they do play hard every game.
Well, I think one of the things that Denver was last year was a finesse team. With Elway throwing it, I think this year this is a very, very strong bang him at the line of scrimmage football team, and that gives you a chance to play more consistent football.
Well, 2 minutes to go in this 4th quarter. Denver 37 and Phoenix nothing.
Anybody who knows anything about 4-wheel drive can tell you about Ford's Touch Drive. It's the standard system on this Ford Ranger, and it lets you go in and out of 4-wheel drive on the fly just by pushing a button on the dash.
Ford Ranger, #1 for all the right reasons.
So why mess around with some clumsy floor-mounted shift like Chevy has when you can just push a button?
The best-built American trucks are built Ford tough.
Did you know if you're an MCI, Execunet, or a Sprint Dial 1 customer and your business spends over $50 a month, you could be in the wrong plan. You can save money with the new AT&T Pro Watts, and we're going to make it easy. We're so sure that you'll see the difference, We'll pay to sign you up. We'll pay to switch you over. And if you're not satisfied within 90 days, we'll even pay to switch you back. All you have to do is call us, 1-800-222-0400. New AT&T Pro Watts, another AT&T advantage.
Thank you. And so, Mayor, these swiftly flowing currents create energy, which in turn creates power, which in turn brings electric light to every house in the valley.
That's very impressive, Calvin.
Thank you, sir.
But the contract calls for bringing Bud Light to the valley.
No wonder we're over budget.
Bud Light won't fill you up, never lets you down.
Which in turn keeps the Bud Light cold.
Everything else is just a light.
New Year's Day, come home to the best in college football and a rematch of the thrilling 1988 Sunkist Fiesta Bowl. The 5th-ranked Florida State Seminoles battle the Cornhuskers of number 6 Nebraska. The Sunkist Fiesta Bowl. New Year's Day, the best bowls are on NBC Sports.
Well, the most valuable player in today's game, sponsored by Budweiser, no question about it, Bobby Humphrey of the Denver Broncos. And Budweiser makes a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the MVPs selected in this weekend's games. Bobby Humphrey with a terrific all-around game. 3rd down and 1.
Oh, boy, it's going their way. Kubiak fumbles, picks it up. There's nobody there, falls ahead for a 1st down.
So Gary Kubiak has picked it up with 1:50 to go in this 4th quarter. Tonight, a night of comedy and action here on NBC with all new episodes of 227, Amen, The Golden Girls, and Empty Nest. And then the Judds and Barbara Eden celebrate the holidays Hawaiian style on the Bob Hope Christmas special from beautiful Waikoloa, Hawaii. That's tonight only on NBC. And that tells the story. That's Lewis Sharp, a veteran member of the Cardinals. Outstanding left tackle, sitting with Joe Wolf. It's been a long day and a long season for the likes of Sharp and Wolf and the Cardinals.
Talk about a long season. How about the coaching staff of the Cardinals?
Tomorrow's lineup, starting with NFL Live, 12:30 Eastern Time, with Bob and OJ, and perhaps the playoff picture will clear up a little bit. Certain things will be determined. Buffalo and San Francisco, the Jets and the Rams in the late games. There's the crew. They'll be on hand starting at 12:30 from our New York studios as we come down to 35 seconds remaining in this 4th quarter. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Terry O'Neill. The coordinating producer of NBC's football is Ted Nathanson. Today's game produced by Glenn Adamo as things are wrapping up. Directed by Andy Rosenberg. NFL Live produced by David Neal. NFL Live directed by Bucky Gunts. NFL Live news producer Ricky Diamond. Our technical directors Mike Stremiski and Richard Sansevier. Thanks to our statistician, Mr. Stats, Elliot Cow, Dan Reeves, and the Broncos in a wipeout, a 37-0 blanking of the Phoenix Cardinals. We'll be back in just a moment.
Because of its unique point design, the Black & Decker Bullet Drill Bit drills holes up to 4 times faster than an ordinary drill bit. Nothing's faster than a bullet drill bit.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
What'd you get the boys?
Radio Shack's radio-controlled cars. A dual-speed White Tiger Turbo with spring suspension to hug the road. A high-speed Golden Arrow off-roader with lightning response to leave them in the dust. And a turbocharged Ferrari that will burn up the racetrack.
Bob, you got 3 cars. We only have 2 boys.
2 little boys and 1 big one.
Radio-controlled cars from $9.95 to $119.95. Only at Radio Shack, the technology store.
If you want to land a good job, you have to know what most employers want. Like how to motivate yourself, how to lead others, how to perform under pressure. You can learn all these things in the Army. So no matter what career you choose, you'll really be ready to take off.
Introducing the cure for a long, cold winter at home. A long white beach in the Caribbean. Let American Airlines take you where?
There's something special in the air.
Well, the Denver Broncos with a 37-0 victory over the Phoenix Cardinals go to 11-4. They have clinched home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. We'll be right back.
Tell you what I know about pickups. Having been around them most of my hard-working life, well, there's lots of little things I like about this Ford. But know what I like most? The way Ford builds them, they last.
Ford trucks, #1 for all the right reasons.
Maybe that's why there's more Ford trucks on the road than Chevy. And where I come from, the last one standing always won the fight.
The best-built American trucks are built Ford tough.
It began as a game. It turned into a battle. And now, it's out of control. Bud Bowl 2, coming January 28th. This time, it's war.
Well, John Elway with some words of consolation for the rookie quarterback Tim Rosenbaum as this game came to a close with the Denver Broncos walloping the Phoenix Cardinals 37-0. Marv Albert with Bob Trumpy saying so long from Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. Big day for Elway and a big one for Bobby Humphrey. Tonight, join NBC when Bob Hope introduces the 1989 AP All-American College Football Team. That's Bob Hope's Christmas special. Future stars of the NFL will be on hand as Bob will share some special moments with the 89 AP All-America team. That's right here on NBC.
The preceding has been a presentation of NBC.